Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to the finale of ISDA's Winter GT3 series. It's going to be a long 2 hours of Kyalami this evening. It's a round 8. The Gold series, the Pro drivers, they pretty much have got their driver winner in the bag. But when it comes down to the AM drivers, it is as close as it could possibly be. So really going to be some tight racing and everything on the line for the AM drivers. Not quite as tight with the pros, but definitely second place and third place still definitely up for grabs. So we will have to wait and see what happens with those guys. But fingers crossed, we get some nice and close racing throughout the entire grid. As always here. Say I am So having a little bit of a fiddle with my settings on my end just to make sure I can see everything lovely and crisp. But our first man out there at the moment is Brooker. A really, really good circuit here at Kyalami. It has to be said, it's a real... it's a bit of an awkward circuit. Lots of guys seem to struggle with it, but it's a fan favourite, I would say, and a driver favourite as well. Lots of people really enjoying it. It's got lots of different types of sections, some nice fast sweeping turns and some nice technical sections as well, especially sort of Sector 1 can really catch some of the fast guys off guard. There's plenty of curbs to send you flying. Not an abundance of places to overtake, but I think these guys can pretty much make it work. Here's a really difficult section of the circuit actually there. That big sausage on the inside of the penultimate turn. Really got to be careful with. So you've got to be really careful with it. We're actually going to jump on board now. And here we go. Yes, jumping on board for a flying lap. So we'll see as the times start rolling in. Brooker, our first man on a flyer, I believe. So fingers crossed it all looks good. Nicely done through turn 1. Could have gone a little bit wider on the exit there. Obviously trying to make sure he's got enough pace through turn 2. Slightly off the apex there for turn 4. Swings it in nicely. Plenty of exit curb there. Runs as much of that as he possibly can. And giving it absolute death now. Absolutely flying now down towards these top S's. Swings it in. That was a really good entrance there, carrying loads of speed. Little clip of the inside curve, but not too much so he doesn't lose any actual grip and traction. Fantastically up the hill, and he's going to need to slam on the brakes. Really difficult turn here. Almost a slight double apex, and it's a blind crest as you come over, so really got to get your braking right. Absolutely hammering down the hill now. So most of the guys out doing a lap, only a few guys not out on the lap, and I believe they are carrying qualifying bans from the last race. But still, really giving it some grief, doing their absolute best. Coming down towards the end of the lap. This hard left-hander swings it in. Again, rolls on the throttle, as much curb as he dare use. He's going to be on pole anyway, but that was a really nice lap done by him there, and we'll have to wait and see if anyone else can do it. Oh yes, immediately Hyler comes through and takes away pole position. Oh, Doyle, apologies. But, I do apologise. For some reason, I'm struggling to read the names this evening a little bit. There we go. And now it's Mex. Mex is on pole now. So great position by him. So I think that's a 141 I'm seeing. So that's some really good lap times going in. And Borovec, no surprise, puts himself up on pole into the 140s now. So the times are a-tumbling. So Borovec, our leading pro driver at the moment. So would not be surprised if we saw him take yet another win this evening. He has absolutely dominated the Pro Series. I think apart from round 2, he's come... Oh, no, actually, sorry. Apart from round 2 and 5, he's come first. So it's a first, a second, another first, third first, a third, another first, and another first. So he has really, really shown everyone quite quite how good this man really is. And as you can see, using absolutely last inch of circuit that he possibly can, stretching it out as far as he dare. Oh, bit of a slide there through the S's, but holds onto it nicely. And still pushing on nicely up over the crest. Again, you see him just comes in, nice late apex, and rolls on the throttle, gets as much speed as he possibly can out that sort of long second part of the turn. And absolutely thundering downhill. This is a real high commitment turn. I imagine he'll keep it absolutely flat and then hard on the brakes and swings it across. Going to see probably quite a few different lines from drivers on this part of the circuit this evening. Yeah, people do tend to go all over the place. There's someone just minding out of his way for a moment. Again, full commitment here. Runs all the way to the exit curb. Does it really nicely. Gets on the brakes. And he'll use everything he can, but not quite go too wide. Looks like he held it together. It was a 1:40.09. And it's an improvement for him there. Okay, so now we are on with Mixic, who, puts himself on second place. Absolutely fantastic effort. And in one of the sister cars, actually, one of the Pirate Racing Porsches. So at the moment, it's Porsche's dominating the front of the grid with Borovic, Mixic, and Brooker. So the Porsche are obviously looking really good here this evening. And Pirate Racing will be very, very pleased to have two of their drivers this far up this point in qualifying. And obviously, Mixic running in third place overall in the pro standings. And Dakuza is running in second, but I don't think he's actually with us this evening. No, Dakuza's not with us this evening, so I would say that Mixic is almost certainly going to take away a position from him, and so it should be a Pirate Racing 1-2 in the driver standings. So that's a really, really good effort for them. They'll be very pleased with that. As we're going to Max, 3/10 up on his lap at the moment. See the big Mercedes. It's a big old girl to try and get around this circuit, but looking good. It's got a little bit of advantage that it can take the curbs a little bit better, but there's not too many awful aggressive curbs here at Kyalami that shouldn't slow him down too much. But rolling on the throttle, are we going to see any position change? Yes, up into third place. And actually, yeah, look at that. Doyle up in second place now, and Mixic drops down to fourth, so he will probably want to try and get that position back if he can do. So on board with Doyle at the moment. Still really, really like the look of this new BMW. I'll admit, when I saw it for the first time, wasn't a huge fan, but the guys have been putting together some great liveries for it, and it's grown on me quite a lot. I now do actually really quite like the big grille on the front end. It does look pretty smart. Oh, a little bit unsettled there, and yeah, it looks like he's abandoning the lap. Doyle abandoning this one. It was a big slide. Let's go back on board with Mex, currently running in third. Oh, that was a big load of curbs. Did he hold it together, though? I think he just about did. A little bit wide on the exit, but again, just managing to keep it all together. Hard on the brakes at the top of the hill. And lovely rolling it on, and then this is where the Mercedes really comes to life, although it looked like he may have got a little bit of oversteer as he exited that turn, which isn't what he wants. This is a high commitment part of the circuit. You want absolute concentration of pace. Hard on the brakes here, swings it across into the right-hander. Oh no, and he's abandoned the lap. There, so that's an... Oh, Zach, half a second up on his time. So Carnival 89, 8th at the moment. Up into 6th place. A good effort by him as well. See, just over 11 minutes of qualifying left for these guys, so they are giving it absolute death. There's still plenty of chance to go out and get some more laps in. Obviously, they can pit and then go out again. Just trying to see. Everybody that can set a time has set a time now, so nobody left to put any numbers on the board. Oh, and Zach abandoned this lap as well. So on board with Langadike, currently running in 10th place. So can we see an improvement here? Again, thundering up the hill into that blind apex. Hard on the brakes. A decent chunk of inside curb there, and really able to get the throttle. And it looked like that went quite... Oh, no. Just a little bit too keen on the throttle and a little bit sideways there. Again, just that slight over-rotation of the car, and it can do a lot of damage to your overall speed going down the hill. It's that exit you've got to absolutely nail. big chunk of inside curb. BMW does hit the curbs really well here, it has to be said. Does a really good job. Big swing in, just misses that sausage curb and then hammering it towards the line. Winging it across. What are we getting? What lap time are we going to see here? So hammering in. He dropped down to 11th before he crossed the line. Hasn't improved on it. He hasn't gained any positions. Tadic now running in 10th. So I think that little whoopsie at the top of the hill probably killed that lap time for him. So on board with Kristinic. So car number 3, yet another one of the BMWs. Really good effort from him this season, to be fair. Kristinic has been a really good one to watch. 4th in the Pro Championship. So another man to keep an eye on. Just keeping it within the lines. Are we going to see any improvement? 9th on the grid at the moment, up into 7th. That's a really good jump. 2 positions gained. Absolutely fantastic. Is he going to stay out for another lap, or is he going to head back in? Looks like he's staying out for another one. But great effort from him. Oh, there we go. And so we've got 10th place now is Van Coley, and he is currently our fastest AM driver. Oh, and obviously happy with that time and is bailed out. I'm going to nip back to the pits, I would imagine. So AM drivers, having a quick look in at theirs. So Van Coley currently running in 7th overall in the AM drivers category. And then we've got Tadic, who is currently 2nd place on the grid in the AM drivers. And Tadic is... where is Tadic running? He is running in 10th place. So a little bit further down the grid. But, I mean, to be honest, if you can keep up that pace, it could be a decent little jump. Who's that in 3rd place currently is Miljelovic. And he is running in... oh, which one of the Miljelovic is this? Let's make sure we've got the right one. Is Marco. He's running in 3rd place overall. So he is going to want to be getting himself up a little bit higher. I say Jokic and Wojciech in front of them. And if I am not mistaken... oh, big mistake from him there. Like we said, this is a high commitment part of the circuit, and it's not the kind of place you want to make a mistake. But yeah, just the car let go, and he's off. So okay, so back with Tadic. He's done a pit stop. He's done his outlaps. This is his first flyer. So this will be fresh tyres. They should be just about up to temp now. So this will be the first time he really, really pushes. Can he take Van Coley off of pole in AM class? See, another really high commitment part of the circuit. Doesn't use that much exit curb though. Surprised didn't use more. But obviously he knows that BMW better than me, and he is now absolutely hammering it towards the top of the S's. Swings it in. Just a touch of inside curb there. Doesn't appear like he quite met the curbing, but still absolutely flying at this point. Hard on the brakes over the top of the apex. Big chunk of inside curb. Keeps it nice and planted. Doesn't over-rotate the car. A little bit of exit curb, but doesn't go too far out onto the grass. Now hammering it through this long left-hander. Obviously we saw Miljelovic make a mistake a moment ago. But he gets on the brakes, swings it across the right. Big early apex for him there, and all the way out onto that exit curb. The BMW having no problems maintaining traction. So down to the final turn now. Can he keep this together? About 6 minutes of qualifying left. Here we go. He's in 11th place at the moment. 2nd place on the AM grid. Coming to the line now. No, not quick enough to take the crown from Coley at this point. Van Coley still holding on to the pole position in AM class. But he will be starting in a fairly... oh, mistake on turn 1. So, no, and there we go. He's bailed out of the lap on this one. So, oh, Brooker up to P4. So that was a good lap from him. Is he going to stay out? It looks like he's still pushing hard. Oh, big mistake from him there. Big slide. And I imagine that is going to be the bailing out at this point. He's doing a really good... Oh, well, I'm surprised he's staying out at this point because he obviously made a mistake and he would have slid. So unless he's deciding he can just do one more lap and then he can get a nice clean flying one next time round. I'm very surprised at that, unless he's going to possibly practice a pit entry. Obviously being a 2-hour race this evening, everyone's going to have to pit, I would presume, at least once. No one's going to be able to do it. Might see some people try and do a one-stop. It's a very difficult circuit to do, quite heavy on the tyres. So I'd be surprised if anyone does manage to do a one-stop strategy. But, you know, it's a bold move. If you're not that far down and far up in the championship and you fancy having a risk, you could quite easily go for it. Right, so Mex currently running in 5th behind Brooker. He is 1/10 up on his lap time. Okay, coming down through this section now, going to swing it into the left. So this could be a big enough jump to go up to P2. He could get himself that far up. The front of this grid is that close together at this point. So on the brake, swings it in. Oh, I'm not sure. I think that was still within the lines, but that might have been just over track limits. I'm not entirely sure. He's definitely safe there, but we'll know in a moment. Oh, and I think he must have invalidated it because it's not an improvement for him. He's still running in 5th. Pretty sure that penultimate turn, his tyres just went beyond the white line. Just ran a little bit too deep, and he will be kicking himself about that. That's a real shame for him. Say, oh, on board with Doyle now. So early in the lap still, 2/10 up. If he can maintain this pace, that is a massive improvement for him. Currently running in 3rd, but this could see him go flying up the grid. Oh, but I think he might have just gone a little bit too wide there. Different parts of the circuit have slightly varying track limits, but he's committed to... no, he did. He definitely... no, it was just been confirmed that, yes, it was outside of track limits. So, bit of a shame, but that is what happens when you're pushing this hard. You end up just being sometimes a little bit too keen and just pushes you out and over the edge. So, bit of a shame for him, but he can keep going. He's still got 2 minutes 35. So he's got time for another lap at least. And get out there and put in, well, like I say, he could probably put in another 2 at this point, just about. Should be able to cross the line in time. All depends on whether or not his qualifying setup gives him that many laps. As you see, sometimes the guys run so little fuel, they can only maybe get 1 or 2 laps in. So went a little bit deep there, obviously trying to get as much pace as possible. It does look like he's possibly gaining on Brooker, so whether Brooker's staying out and continuing to hot lap, or whether he's sort of having a warm down and coming in. But at the moment, Doyle is definitely catching up with it. Oh, looks like there was a slide at turn 1. Slight over rotation of the car under braking, I think, but he's still out there flying, so whether or not he's just pushing so he can get in another fast lap. And while he made that mistake on turn 1, Brooker 2/10 up on his time, pushing forward. Again, you can see absolutely hammering it, swings it back across to the right and then hammers it through that left-hander, rolling on the throttle, keeps it... Oh, goodness, that could have just been outside. I think he just held it possibly on the white line. He's still valid at the moment, still just about valid and still pushing hard. So up over the blind crest. Swings it in. Looks like he kept the car well planted there. At least with the Porsche, you don't always have to worry quite so much with an over-rotation of the car on throttle. It's more if you decide to do anything other than full throttle that this car then suddenly decides to turn around on itself. So he's doing nicely there. Plenty of exit curb, trying to straight line it as much as possible. Will he avoid the sausage here? Yes. I think he just held on to that, squirrely under braking though and swinging it in again. Oh, but he went quite deep there. I think that might have done it. Yeah, I think he invalidated it on that final turn, to be fair. I don't think... So who is that? Doyle's still out. So Brooker bails out. Obviously given up at this point. Although Doyle, running in 3rd, is still going for an improvement. Oh dear, and very deep on turn 1 again there. So he won't get another lap in after this. So, no, and there we go. I think it was more frustration just going through a couple more corners. So that's the timer done. So there's a couple of guys still out there. Van Coley up into 7th place overall. That's an amazing effort. So he is our leading AM driver, and he is 7th place overall as well. Tadic in 10th and Miljelovic in 11th. Sorry, Marko Miljelovic in 11th. The other AM drivers. So he'll be really pleased to put a little buffer of 2 cars between them. Obviously, it's 2 hours, and a lot can happen in those 2 hours. The race is certainly not going to be won in the first 5 minutes, but that is a huge bonus for him. He's going to have a buffer of 2 cars as they go through the first lap, so hopefully he won't lose a position to any of his championship rivals. So he'll be very pleased with that. So Van Coley, Miljelovic, so running in 11th. He is 2 tenths up. Can he hold it together? I think he might have gone a little bit deep there, but he was 2 tenths up. We'll know when he crosses the line. No, he doesn't. So up into 9th place. Oh, and look at that. As I was saying it, Van Coley down to 8th now. So he is starting with Miljelovic right behind him. So not what he would have wanted. So Marko running in 3rd in the championship. Dyke in car number 36, currently running in 13th place. Comes into the final turn. He's our last man out on track. And a final sprint to the line. Any improvement? Stays in 13th place. So really good effort from these guys. Some brilliant efforts. But Borovic put in that time, to be fair, really early in qualifying. And then improved upon it again. And has put himself on pole position. So great effort for him. And the Pirate Racing guys, we're really, really pleased to have both of their guys up on the pointy end of the grid. So reading through the grid as they are, we've got pole position is Borovic. 2nd place is Miksic, car number 96. That's the Pirate Racing boys. Then we have Doyle, car number 85, in 3rd. 4th place on the grid is Brooker in the Porsche number 130. 5th place is Mex, car number 886. 6th place is Zach, car number 89. 7th place is Igor Kristinic, car number position 7, car number 3. Then the first of our AM drivers, car 55, Van Coley, 8th position on the grid. Marko Miljelovic, number 7, 9th place on the grid. And then we have Bellato, car number 14, rounding out the top 10. So then 3rd place in the AM is Tadic in 11th. Then we have Noble in 12th place, car number 28. One of the few Aston Martins here on the circuit this evening. 13th is Lang Dyke in car number 36. 14th place is Dunster, car number 4, I do apologise. Dunster. 15th place is the other Miljelovic, 998 on his racing number. 16th place is... this is the name I really struggle with. Apologies. Is Zivkovic, car number 68, the flying car from Monza. And then we have Shunrik in the car number 12, 17th place. Then after that, we actually have our safety car running in 18th, but he will not be joining us on the grid. He will be going back. But that car number 900, hopefully we don't have to see him this evening, but with 2 hours of track time, maybe. And then 2 drivers at the back, Charles and Virches, who did not get to qualify, 19th and 20th place respectively. So those guys will be starting from the back. They are very quick drivers, so I expect to see them pushing forward. But the safety car will almost certainly be returning to the pits immediately. But fantastic grid this evening. Say 19 cars, 2 hours of racing here at Kyalami. It is going to be an absolute storming race. So points-wise.
10 seconds.
So got an ad coming up soon, guys. So stick with us. Some really good deals to be had with Sim Racing Pro. So we're just about to start the formation lap, and so obviously one full formation lap for these guys, and then it's a rolling start. So with the with 19 cars on the grid, these guys should all be on the straight before the lights go green. So it should be some really, really good racing from these boys. So looking over that rear wing of Borovec, that grid looks beautiful coming up behind him. Right, so back with it after that ad, and now say they're still on the formation lap. So not too much weaving going on from these guys at the front. So there's a fairly long old lap, Kyalami, especially on the when you're going slowly. It is quite a slow old track to get round when you're obviously just doing your first out lap. And these guys will not want to overwork the tyres either at the very beginning. I say, with 2 hours and an open pitch strategy, for anyone that's going to try and risk a one stop, they will want to try and keep their tyres in immaculate condition for as long as possible, so they won't want to push too hard. But that could also mean that we could see some drivers in these first couple of laps absolutely hemorrhage positions simply because they're trying not to over push the tyres. Whereas some of the guys that are going for a two-stop strategy, they can afford to push a lot harder from the very, very beginning, so that could possibly put their tyres in a little bit more jeopardy, shall we say. Coming down the hill now, and you can really get an idea of the grid. All these beautiful liveries. So I'm just going to bring up the old race control chat so I can keep a little eye on that as well at the same time, because always an interesting one to keep an eye on during the race. So I think there is a couple of penalties coming through, that coming into the race today. So we've got a couple of guys, obviously, that we saw they could not qualify earlier. So that was Charles and Virches. And then penalties-wise, let's have a little... Virches actually is going to be carrying a 15-second penalty as well during this race. I think he's the only racer here this evening that's going to be carrying a penalty. The other penalised drivers are not here. So he'll be carrying a 15-second penalty as well. See, that's from a previous race, not from anything that's happened today. But here we go, rounding the final turn now, coming up to that green light. Can the two Pirate Racing boys hold on to pole position for this entire lap and then keep it going? Just hanging on, waiting for that green. There we go, green light. 2 hours of racing are underway. Oh, and it's actually a little bit of a bad start from Mikzic, and he's already under pressure. Doyle already going up the inside. Mex looking to do it as well, and Brooke around the outside. So it's really going to be as how good can these guys get through turn one. Mex is going to have his nose there. Looks like they got pretty clean through there already. Mex not quite able to take advantage, but great run from Doyle. Got a really, really good start, and we just looked like Mikzic just maybe bogged down a little bit as he tried to pull away, and he didn't quite get his revs in the right place, and maybe just missed that green light a little bit, and so now down to third place. But he is now obviously rounding out the sandwich of cars. So a little bit further down the grid, Tadic pushing forward. He's on the back of Bellato, it would look like at this point. Looks like Bellato's got in front of him. Oh, there's an incident here. Okay, not great. I missed who caused it, but Zach rotated on the grass facing the wrong way and it has yet to move. Was running in 7th at the time. Oh, and there are cars off all over the place. Kristinic off as well. So with 1 minute and 1 hour 58 minutes left, we have cars stranded off the circuit at the moment. On board with Miljelovic at the moment. Here we go. Here is the replay. So let's see what happened here. It looks fairly up together at this point, and then it happens here in this sector. Let's see where it went wrong. It just almost looked like sort of offline and a bit of bunching, and then just really bad luck, to be fair. Nothing sort of over the... Oof. It's going to be a difficult one for race control. I think those guys are going to have a little bit of a... have to sort of look back over that one a fair few times. From the angles we had, it wasn't overly obvious what actually caused the issue. So whether or not it was someone getting a little bit unsettled out the turn. But what this has done is shaken up the front of the grid, and now Miljelevic is in front of Vankoli. Though he'll be very pleased with that. He's now got in front of his AM rival and is now running in first place in the AM class. Vankoli behind him, and Bellato then behind them, and then followed by Tadic in third place in the AM class. So this battle could rage on for a little while, and so a bit of a shame to see an incident on lap 1, but luckily not too many drivers involved. Having a look at the... So going to jump on board with Vankoli, and so we can keep an eye on what's going on in front of him. Every time we get on board with one of these Aston Martins, it always really shocks me that they've got those support bars going up the front of the windscreen. I don't know why. Every time I see it, I think it's a graphical error at first, but no, they're there in real life. So following him down through this flying left-hander, you see the commitment from both these guys. Can he do anything under braking? No, but he's showing his nose. Just puts it up the inside a little bit, trying to unsettle Miljelevic. Not an easy man to unsettle, but it's very much worth giving it a little go. Down into the final turn. Is he going to get a better run off the exit? No, looks like the Mercedes got a slightly better run than him. Looking over that rear wing, you can see the gap extending there. Another one of these circuits you do have to be quite careful with track limits, though. Very easy to just put your tyre just outside the white line one too many times, and obviously over the space of 2 hours you don't want to rack up too many drive-throughs, track warnings, because you will end up with a drive-through. Do apologise. Sometimes the words they're there in my mouth, but they just don't come out. It all ends up being a bit of a gobbled mess. So Vankoli chasing after the back of him again. It'll be very interesting to see. Oh, bit of a mistake there, I think, from Miljelevic. He got a little bit unsettled. Vankoli also looked like maybe his car was a little bit unsettled going in, but that definitely lost Miljelevic a little bit of time. So coming down through the S's, are we going to see any sort of moves here? Now that gap has opened up a little bit. Again though, that Mercedes doesn't look that settled on the circuit. Does look a little bit flighty. Whether or not those tyres aren't quite up to temperature yet, not sure. But it doesn't look like it's overly settled. It looks quite choppy at times, especially the back end of it. I mean, it is got quite a powerful engine, and it can be quite slippery at the best of times. I just noticed that Doyle put in the fastest lap of the race so far, so he'll be pleased that he is maintaining that second place pace after gaining 1 position down towards turn 1. And it really looks like Marko Miljelevic he's just running that car all the way to the very outside. And I want to say that Vankoli is possibly playing a slightly safer game. Not running quite so aggressively over the curbs, not running so much on the exits. Just trying to obviously keep it clean. Like we said, still 1 hour and 45 minutes left. 54 minutes left of this race. So plenty of time for moves to be made and mistakes to be made all across the grid. So even if you think, oh, it's fine, I'm miles ahead, 2 hours of racing going to all come apart in the last 10 minutes if you just push too hard and let yourself forget what's going on. But Coily now closing in on the back of Marko. He's really starting to show, and Bellato as well is catching up with them. So is Miljelevic starting to become a little bit of a cork in a bottle for these guys? Just trying to keep a little eye here with the helicams. You can get a real good look at all 3 of those guys at the moment. So obviously Bellato is a pro driver, so he doesn't really technically doesn't need these positions, but he doesn't want to get stuck behind these guys, because Noble is also a pro driver, is running in 9th place, so he will want to get past. Vankoli just not quite close enough to make a move, but he's definitely getting closer. And here we go, coming down to this final downhill section. Looked like he tried to run a slightly tighter line than Miljelevic. Are we going to see anything into the braking zone here? We saw a little look a lap or two ago. Possibly going to see something, but no, not again. But this time Bellato really close to the back of him. So this penultimate turn with the big sausage. Both take it. Oh, that was a mistake. There it is. Oh, and I don't know if there's been contact or not. Really well recovered by Mojalovic. But hopefully he doesn't take the nose off that car. No, he doesn't quite. I'm not sure if there was contact between him and Coley while he was rotating. So going to the replay and we'll notice if there is any contact. So stay on board with him here, and you can see he just comes across, gets a little bit too much inside curb, rotates round. I don't think there was contact. I think it was pretty good. I think they got away with that. It's just come to my attention that I'm listening with no game audio. So I've just been watching all of this racing and going on, and suddenly realised to myself, I can't hear anything. But never mind, we can keep going. It's not a problem. But so he's now down into 8th place, and there is now Bellato between him and Van Coley. So Van Coley be pleased to have that one car cushion between the guys. That's a big bonus for him, and it'd be interesting to see what damage that has done to Marko Mujalovic's tyres. Might not affect him at this point in the race, but later in the race, that could seriously become an issue if he's sort of filled his tyres with gravel and done a big slide across the tarmac. Really good job to actually recover the car and get it facing the right direction and not hemorrhage any more positions. So because Noble was very, very close behind him in that baked bean car. So he didn't quite get beaned. He just about managed to hold on to it. So we're going over to the battle for 3rd class. This is Tadic versus Dunster. Tadic and Dunster in the AM class as well. Let's have a quick look and see where they are running. They are actually 9th and 10th in the overall AM championship as well. So this could quite possibly be battles for positions in the championship. Less than 10 minutes of the race done, and these guys are already looking at trying to get a points exchange going on here. Because Tadic is currently in 10th place, so he will want to try and get past him in the championship points if he can. Dunster holds it together nicely there. Maybe a slight mistake from Tadic there on the exit. Looked like his exit speed was slightly compromised. So the BMW looks like it's floundering at this point. It has to be said that oh goodness gracious, Dunster almost overtakes the car there. A little bit too much exit curb. And this is the kind of issues you run into with the Porsche. It's a very, very quick car if you can keep it on the track, but it will.
Incidents between cars 3, 7 and 89 on lap 1, turn 7 under investigation. Incidents between cars 3, 7 and 89 on lap 1, turn 7 under investigation. Over.
There we go, race control. They are doing their thing. They are looking into what's going on. So at some point we may start to see penalties roll in. So there was obviously that incident we saw very early in the race, and we said we weren't entirely sure what had caused it, but definitely one of the still BMWs was involved. So whoever's fault it was, they will be dealt with swiftly by race control. And it's a really nice thing, I will quickly say, here with ISDA, that they have live stewarding and race control. They cut into your race exactly the same as they do in real life. If you watch any GT3 racing, race control will cut you off in the middle of your race and they will tell you what's going on. And it's really nice that the drivers all in this race as well are listening in and they get to hear it. So they'll know if they've had an incident early in the race and they're thinking, oh, I've been hard done by, and the game didn't do any sort of penalising, the live stewards will review it, they go through, and they make it some really, really close racing, but they make it fair racing as well. So you can't just barge your way to the front and take advantage of people by being a bully. On board, well, sorry, not on board, keeping an eye now on board with Mikzic, who is currently running in 2nd place after losing that position on turn 1 to Doyle. And he is now catching up with the back of Doyle. So that Porsche obviously has turned its tyres on nicely at this point. And possibly Doyle not pushing quite as hard, trying to maybe maintain his tyres. But he looks to be losing ground pretty quickly to Mikzic. And he will want this position. So this is obviously both pro drivers. Big move, not able to quite make anything happen there, but he definitely was showing a bit of intent under braking. I say at other circuits, we've really seen the BMW be quite dominant under brakes, but the Porsche looks to be pretty good throughout here. Again, runs a slightly safer line on the exit, and I think the BMW is going to get a slightly better exit on that turn. So just having a quick look where Doyle is in the championship. Doyle is running in 6th place at the moment in the championship, and as we said earlier on, Mikzic is running in 3rd place overall. So he'll want these points anyway. He'll want to keep as big of a gap as possible between all these guys, because pretty much from who is it? It's from 6th up to 3rd. There's really not a massive amount in it. It's 15 points between the lot of them. So although that may seem like a large amount of points, it's really not when you're on the race for this long. Oh, who was that getting out the way? It was one of the Mercedes. It was Evo. That's the one. It was one of the. Oh, so he's running down in 17th place. So actually, that was probably the car that we saw involved in that incident on lap 1. I say the two Mojelevich brothers running matching liveries, apart from the numbers. So a quick flash, it's sometimes difficult to work out exactly which one of the two it is. And obviously, they share a last name, so that can always make it a little bit more difficult as well. But really cool to see a brothers team here. Another thing you guys may have realised also is the safety car, which is our number 900 little safety car that if an incident should occur, and in real life a safety car would have been deployed, that little safety car will come out and bring everyone together and allow people to get themselves repaired and get back into the race. So very much as it is in real life, if someone takes you out or there is an incident and lots of cars go out and it's not safe to continue the race, the safety car comes out, brings everyone together, and that, especially on a 2-hour race. So Borovic at the moment obviously with 4.5 seconds ahead at the moment, but if the safety car comes out, kaput, it's gone. There's no advantage at that point. You lose all of it. So he will be praying there's no safety car.
This is the race control. Incident between cars 3, 7 and 89 will be investigated after the race. Over.
So cars 3, 7 and 89, I believe, is going to be investigated after the race. So we'll see what that incident was. 3, 7 and 89. 3 is no longer. So this is lap 1, I believe, or possibly lap 2. So this is the replay. So here we go. So I'm just looking as to. Oh, okay, right. Not what I expected whatsoever. That was There we go. I thought actually one of the Mercedes was one of the perpetrators of that, but it was not at all. It was BMW versus BMW. So not great for those guys. It has to be said. A little bit disappointing. Obviously, only the smallest touch. Sometimes the sort of physics engine in ACC can punish you quite severely. But it looked like the back end of one of the BMWs just got a slight tap, and then that was it. So a little bit disappointing for those guys. So Virch is still obviously running with his 15-second penalty from last time round. Doyle doing a good job of holding off Mikzic at the moment. A long old way to go though. Just over 15 minutes of this race completed now. And these two have been squabbling it out for at least the last 5 to 10 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see how long Doyle can hold him off. All the while that these two begin to squabble, it gives Borovic a chance to escape up the road even further. So is he going to be able to take his 6th pole position of this championship? Can he pull it all together on this final race? But also looking at it, Mex isn't dropping away from these guys. Mex, who's running in 4th, is certainly not floundering in the background. He's still just thundering away in that big Mercedes. The only issue I think with the Mercedes is it uses so much fuel that he'll be running a lot of fuel at the beginning of his stints, and so then by the time he's lost a load of fuel and he's running a bit better, his tyres will be coming towards the end of its life. So be interested to see how his pace evolves throughout the race. So Tadic. Yeah, so this is Tadic versus Noble. So Tadic, one of our AM drivers, he'll be looking to get past. It's a overall position, and that means he's ever so slightly closer than to Marco, who is also an AM driver. So he'll be looking to possibly get a slight advantage there. As in Tadic is, saw it earlier on, 10th place in the championship overall. And that would be nice to put a little gap between him and Dunster. So who want to do this? And Noble essentially doesn't have to worry too much about defending the position, but that would then see him obviously right on the edge of the top 10. And obviously you want to try and stay as far at the grid as possible for as long as possible. Just having a quick gulp of drink there. So Tadic still holding on quite nicely to the back of Dunster. Not Noble, sorry. Oh, hello guys. If you're on the YouTube chat, I do apologise if I'm not looking at the chat quite so much this evening. Bit of behind the scenes fun. My internet's really awful at the moment. So I'm doing everything through. Oh, big mistake from Noble. Big mistake from Noble. Over-rotated and went off the circuit. Managed to hold it back together, but that is a position for Tadic gained. He just carried a little bit too much speed there after that long flying right-hander. Went to get it sorted and... Okay, so going to jump back on board with the replay and we can get a better idea of what happened. Because he was quite a long way out in front. Ran a normal amount of exit curb. So what happened here on the brakes? Did he just get... just ran a little bit too much inside curb. So when he tried to apply the throttle, the car wasn't quite settled. And it lost him the position, and he'll be kicking himself about that. It's an easy mistake to make here at Kyalami. Like I said, not many of the curbs are ginormous and terrifying, but it's just there's no rest for the wicked here. So if you unsettle the car, you almost certainly are going to have an issue going into your next turn, or possibly even two, depending on what track position it puts you in. But it has to be said, he's doing pretty good to now hang on to the back of Tadic. So whether or not he's maybe he's had a little bit of a reset, and now he's pushing quite hard. So he's now running in 10th place. And he will be pretty determined. Just for one of the drivers to keep a little eye on, Verchez already up into 11th position, obviously after not qualifying whatsoever. So it's a really good effort from him. Get himself up through the grid. Obviously, he would have gained a little bit of an advantage when those guys came together on lap 1. Good chance for him to get through a few cars, but still, that's a good old jump up through the grid. Okay, I've just had it confirmed that they actually started from the pit lane, so even better effort. Him and Charles. So Charles running in 30. Oh, okay, Noble off. We missed that while we were there talking about Verchez, and he's now returned to the pits. So what happened here? Oh, did he crash on the same section of circuit that he did last time? Let's have a look. Oh, that's a massive, massive impact. Slightly over-rotated, and then when the car regained grip, it just snapped and spat him out into the tyres. That is a huge incident. Luckily, no one else was involved, but that is almost certainly going to be some serious, serious damage, and I would not be surprised if he sat in the pits for a good old chunk of time now. So that's probably going to put him to the back of the grid, I would almost say, with certainty. Oh, actually, I believe he has left the server, it would look like it. So obviously, just given up on that one. Bit of a shame to see him go, but he still had an hour and 40 minutes. He probably could have at least gained one position back. But that's the way it goes. It is the end of the season, so understandably, possibly sort of cutting his losses and just having a breather on that one. But yeah, shame to see a driver lost from the grid after an incident like that. So Noble has retired. How does that shake up the grid? Because he was in a reasonable position. that does bring everyone up. Oh, there you go. Virtue is now running in 10th place. So it's brought everyone up one position from that point onwards. So Virtue's inside the top 10 at this point. So still keeping an eye on this battle between Doyle and Mixic. Doyle doing a really good effort actually now, starting to maybe extend that gap ever so slightly. Just rolled the throttle on nicely and managed to keep that gap at a reasonable rate. Borovic still out there having his own race at the moment, so he obviously our leader is wait for my timing board to sort itself out a little bit, but he's a good old section away. He's halfway down the pit straight as we speak, as everyone else is coming through the final turn, so that is a massive track position advantage to have. He's not going to be under any kind of stress from anybody at this point. Okay, so a big improvement. Borovic a full second faster on his fastest lap. That is a massive effort. Absolutely flying at this point. And as we can see, just an absolute masterclass of consistency from him this season. Brooker running in 5th, also set a personal best last lap. So obviously really starting to get the feel and get some pace. It looks actually like he might be reeling in the back of Mex. So that's something we might need to keep a little eye on over time. I say definitely that gap looks smaller than it has done previously. And Van Coley actually isn't that far off the back of these guys either, to be fair. So with an hour and 36 minutes, or just over hour 36 minutes of the race left. So plenty of time for anyone to make moves. They don't need to rush to suddenly try and jump past everybody. They can just keep themselves cleanly hot lapping. You know, no point defending or attacking too hard. They've got plenty of time to get moves done. The really, really interesting bit I'm waiting to see is if anyone attempts a one-stop. I can't see it happening. It's such an aggressive circuit on tyres that I'd be very, very surprised if anyone manages to do it. But if they do manage to do it and they haven't lost too much time, then who knows? Stranger things have happened. But yeah, Brooker right on the back of Mex now. So that earlier on did not look like much was happening. It looked like Mex was maybe catching the back of Mixic, but now that is not the case, and Brooker is really starting to take the fight to him. So on board with Brooker now through Sector 1. He looked like he was much, much tighter through there than Mex in front of him. We have seen the Porsches looking pretty strong through Sector 1. I think the Mercedes struggling a little bit with understeer possibly. So it can be quite hard sometimes to get the Mercedes to really turn in nicely. And you try and get on the throttle and the back end steps out on you. It's a slightly odd car. I do quite like driving it myself, but it's a slightly unsettled car at times. Really well done through there. Both these drivers keeping it super clean, but again, you just see the Porsche looks like it's ever so slightly more dominant here through these S sections. Not quite as brave on the curbs, and say on the exit curb, having to be a bit more careful. That is where Mex has the advantage. He can be a lot more brave with the curb usage. But look at the different lines we're seeing through here. Brooker sort of went for that first apex and then just rolls the throttle on and just ekes out wide and using as much of the circuit as he possibly could. Obviously two very different cars setup wise. The Mercedes 100% front engine rear wheel drive, and the Porsche obviously the polar opposite, rear wheel drive rear engine. So when it comes to actual like characteristics, these cars could not be more different. And again down this straight, and doesn't look like much track positional changing is going to happen between these guys again. Oh, there is a yellow flag out on the circuit. Where is that? That was Sector 3, the penultimate turn. So that was Tadic, who has returned to the pits. Oh, big mistake and a massive impact. He could not have hit a worse bit of the circuit there, right on that sharp corner. I'm not sure he can even get the car going, and yet he just teleports back to the pitch. Tadic will be devastated by that. He was doing really, really well up to that point. And he'll be very disappointed to be losing those positions. And someone that will be able to be a bit of a sigh of relief will be Dunster, who obviously we did see earlier on losing position to him, and is running very close to Tadic in the championship. So he'll be possible sigh of relief from him. Maybe not how he wants to gain an advantage. No one likes to see another driver crash out, but an advantage nonetheless is gained for him. And have we lost? Yes, it does appear that we've lost Tadic. So Tadic a retiree as well at this point. Brooker on board, well, on the bonnet of him now. You can see him still chasing after the back of Mex. Oh, bit of a mistake there from Mex. Very, very much missed the apex. Ran a little bit wide. That massively influenced his corner exit speed. Both of them being pretty careful though with that inside curb. Neither of them really pushing for it. Again, Mex misses that apex and a little bit of a squirrel on the exit of the turn. This time Brooker is right behind him. He's in the slipstream of that Mercedes. Can he make a move? Possibly going to see something into turn one. He's absolutely on him. There's nothing between those guys at this moment. And yes, up the inside, goes for the move. Can he get it done under braking? Mex going to try and go around the outside. I think he's got it done. Waiting for the camera to catch up. Yes, there we go. Brooker gets it done. Just about manages to close the door on Mex. Fantastic little bit of driving from him there. So we saw that. Okay, so we're going to go back and watch that overtake again from a slightly different angle. So you see all the way down the pit straight. He is on the back of the Mercedes, but not able to make a move on the straight. But then gets to the brakes a little bit later. Good run on the apex. The Mercedes nearly hangs on to the position, but no, has to give it up before turn two. Really well done by Brooker. A really well-deserved position gain there. So now it's going to be a case of can he hold on to it and can he stretch away quick enough? Oh, someone else off in the background there. I think might have been Van Coley. Van Coley, our leading AM driver. So that's the top of the hill S's. What happened here? Oh, he just went deep. And he's just glided off the circuit. And then returned to the pits. So, possibly something to look out for there. I don't think that was an incident per se. Maybe having a hardware issue. Or maybe a real-life issue and had to move away from his PC. But that's a shame because he was, he was our leading AM driver. And now he's in the pits. So definitely an unplanned pit stop for him. So hopefully Van Coley is okay. But Miljelovic, so Marko Miljelovic, now takes first position in the AM class. And so having a little look on board with Mixic now, who's still chasing after the back of Doyle. So this is the battle for second position overall and in the Pro class. It looks like Doyle has slightly extended the lead out, just visually looking. Oh, bit wide there from Doyle though, a little bit scrappy. And Mixic just about giving it everything he can to try and catch up with the back of that BMW. So about 30 minutes into the race at this point, so 90 minutes left. I doubt we're going to see any pit stops till probably closer to the hour mark, but maybe in the next 15 minutes we might see guys coming in if they're going to do a two-stop. But still running pretty nicely. Van Coley still in the pits, so not sure what's happened with him there, but real shame to see him not out with us on the track. So Mixic still running in third. Again, everyone's being pretty safe with that big sausage curb, which is a good idea, because the last thing you want to do is end up in the same position that Tadic was in earlier. And as we saw, Tadic actually managed to hit the corner of the barrier as well, so the car just came to a complete stop and then spun back out onto the circuit. So really unlucky where he struck the barrier. Pretty much anywhere else he would have maybe had drivable damage, but obviously the car completely terminal. Don't think he could even get it started to lurch into the pits. Okay, so just had confirmation from Van Coley. He is okay, but he has had to retire from the race with a health-related issue, having some issues with his back. So real shame because he was showing some great pace this evening. But obviously our wishes go out to him and hope he gets better, and hopefully he's all ready and set for next season. So there we go, he's now left the server as well. So bit of a shame, but always good when the drivers let us know what's happened. So the grid looking a little bit thinner at this point. Just under 90 minutes left of the race. Well, 88 minutes left if you want to be really, really specific. Marko Mujelevic still leading the AM class. Dunster in second place in the AM class. And the unsuspecting Jaguar of Zikovic in the car number 68 is third place in class. So really good effort by him, to be fair. Again, is not a car that you see anywhere usually on a podium. And try to have a little look at him now. He is running in 6th place overall. Actually, I just remembered he got third place in Monza, didn't he, in class? So he could possibly get himself another third place here. It's a bit of a jump up through the grid to try and gain any positions in the championship, but third place honours, another bronze to put on his championship shelf. Really good. And not a circuit that I imagine really favours the Jaguar here. I know at Monza he pretty much apparently turned all the aero down as low as he possibly could to give himself as much straight line speed. And to be fair, that thing was an absolute drag racer when it came to the Monza straights. But looking pretty well composed. He's in quite a lot of spare air, so he's not battling for position. He can just concentrate on hot lapping. Oh, very brave with that inside curb and nearly went all the way out wide. That's me saying he's probably just doing some nice hot lapping. And he's there absolutely wringing the neck out of that Jaguar. And again on the exit there, absolutely giving it death. Flying at this point. What was his last lap? A 140. Okay, Igor Van Coily. I believe we're going to have him in the interview box in a moment. So obviously, as we said, he had to retire from the race with his back. So, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, mate. Yes, can hear you loud and clear. It looked like it was all going really well for you out on the circuit, but obviously not quite so well outside of in real life. So. Is everything all right? Do you think you'll be with us for next season, or is this an ongoing problem that we might have to deal with?
It should be good, but after a long day at work in the office and then going for a bike ride and then 2 hours in the rig, sometimes it's a bit too much. But
yeah,
if it would have been only a half an hour more, I would have finished, but now it was just getting too much.
Now that's totally fair enough. I say, yeah, obviously nothing worse than trying to stretch yourself out with a bad back. I say luckily, I don't suffer too badly with it, but from time to time, yeah, there's nothing worse than a bad back because it gets in the way of everything. And as you said, obviously, a full day of work and then trying to deal with that is not the best. So, but I mean, apart from that, how was the Aston feeling out there this evening?
It was great. I didn't do a lot of practice before, but I still had a setup from a couple of months ago when I did an endurance race. So the setup was great. So even without the practice, the car just felt awesome. Because
Fantastic.
I qualified P8 and was fighting for P6 now, so it was good.
Yeah, obviously you managed to stay out of trouble in that lap 1 incident, which was a real bonus for you.
It was close.
I think that may have happened. It was very, very close. And there was also the incident. Who was it that someone spun in front of you? In my mind,
I think Miljevic.
Yeah, that was the one. We couldn't quite see, but was there any contact between you guys, or did you just about manage to keep... Yeah, it looked like you just about managed to keep it clean. Yeah. But it looked... So we can have another look back over the incident. We can actually have a look. So this was lap 1. And so we see from your perspective, had these guys in front. And a really good effort to stay on the back of these guys this closely through the circuit. Say too wide, the BMWs in front of you. And it just, the smallest of touches, and it looks so tiny, but how you stayed out of trouble there is superhuman levels of driving. So really well done to keep it clean at that point.
Also partly luck though.
I imagine that was a bit of a Code Brown moment on lap 1. It's
bit.
the last thing you want.
And also the same with Miljevic. Tolls was also a bit scary. I think it was about as close.
Yeah, don't think it could have got any closer. It has to be said. I'm having a little look at the championship points. Obviously going to be a DNF for you this evening.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've had a first and a second in class, so it's been a really good effort. I mean, there's been a few races you haven't been able to attend, obviously, but the races you have attended have been really, really good shows.
Yeah.
Are you going to try and join us again next season?
Yeah, it should be good. I always like the organization, and also a lot of my teammates from my endurance team are also in here. So everybody with Victoria's Secret in their name.
Oh yeah, Victoria's. Yeah, the Victoria's Secret.
Yeah. With Dan Minton even winning a race.
Let me see if there's anyone. Have you got anyone else on?
At the moment,
yeah, that's the one.
And I think Charles just retired as well.
Oh yes, I say other teammates is obviously there's Dan Minton, who is one of your Victoria's Secret guys, and then Lang Dyke as well. Yeah, as you said. So yeah, sadly, had a couple of guys come out race this evening. So a bit of a shame, but it does happen from time to time. That as you said, you know, things happen on the racetrack. Oh, stuff hotting up on the circuit again as well. Mex now on the back of. Hang on, there's been a lot of position changes here that I think I may have missed at some point. Mix it third.
And now they're fighting again.
Yeah, so Brooks Brooks is up to fourth. So Brooker, sorry, up to fourth. So really good effort from him. Who would you say has been your main rival in the championship when you've been racing? Who's been your man to beat, shall we say?
I've been fighting a lot with Miljevic and Zach. But other than that, not that many people. Oh, as you say, I only did like 3 or 4 races because of I started in the middle of the season, and then didn't start one. But I think Miljevic is a name I've been racing him a lot, and also Dakusa, who is not racing today.
A bit of a shame to not see Dakusa on the grid.
Yeah, nice looking GTR always.
Yeah, and really nice to see one of these slightly older and less popular models out on the circuit as well, isn't it? I always think it's quite nice when you see the GTRs and other bits and pieces out on the circuits, especially still competitive as well. It does show that whatever car you want to use, regardless, you can be competitive in it. Definitely all comes down to the driver. So, real shame to obviously see that you've had to retire this evening, but hope the back gets better as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And obviously hope to see you next season as well.
Yeah, I'll be back. Going to.
Are you going to be taking part in any of the Tuesday night races?
That's it. Maybe if I have some time, but can't promise that at the moment.
It's the social racer. You can always hop in. It's not quite as serious as this season. It's a bit more relaxed, so that's always a bonus.
So it's all of fun. So.
I was really hoping to join in on next one, but as it turns out, my internet is now so bad that I can't. I finally have time, and now my internet's broken, so I can't do it.
Bad timing.
No, never mind. You know, these things happen in life, don't they?
Yeah,
having a quick look back at the circuit, Brooker now is pulling away from Max, so he's obviously on a charge Ford, still with an hour and 19 minutes of the race left, and Brooker really, really on a charge. So that Porsche really starting to come to life now. So great to see.
Yeah. Borovic on an island on his own again.
Say again, sorry?
Borovic on an island all alone.
Yeah, Borovic has really been quite a dominant force this season, hasn't he? I think we might have to maybe, put some sandbags in his car next season, or I'm not entirely sure. Maybe, go and steal one of his spark plugs, because this man is, he's got 181 championship points, and Dakuza in second has 91 championship points. So it's he's 90 points clear, which is absolutely ridiculous. He's done a really, really good effort. So I mean, he's been super consistent. He's been on the podium every single time, and unless something goes drastically wrong, I imagine he's going to be on the podium again this evening. So it really has been his championship. He's done absolutely fantastically this season. So thank you ever so much for joining us in the commentary booth for a little bit of a. No, absolute pleasure. So hope, as I said before, hope the back gets better, and hope to see you again here with ISDA. As you're always welcome, and you've been a great racer of what we've seen. You've put in some great battles, and always mentioning your name on streams. So it's been good to have you.
Thank you.
No worries.
And have a nice night.
And yourself, mate.
Thanks. Bye.
So back with the track action. Borovic still on pole and has made himself quite the gap out in front now. He's now starting to come up on a couple of back markers. Who is that? Oh, yeah, we've got the Flying Jaguar is going to be his next victim. And I imagine he'll probably make quite a quick dispatch of that. And no doubt Zivkovic will mind out of the way as well. Very considerate driver, always pretty aware of what's going on around him. But yeah, just look at how quickly Borovic is catching up with the back of our third place AM driver. This is ridiculous, and actually going to catch him at quite a awkward bit of the circuit. Blue flags are out, but nowhere realistically that he can really pass easily. There we go. Moving off the line, I imagine he'll get on the brakes a little bit earlier. Yes, and Borovic will be able to go up the inside now. Ooh. Okay, right, we have a race director who normally would be Mally, but he is my second man behind the stream this evening. So we've got the stand-in race director. Introduce yourself as the voice of race director.
This is the race control. This is Andrzej Kucharz speaking. I think you probably try to avoid pronouncing my name. Is that correct?
I mean, at all times. I won't lie. Some names could be ever so slightly more difficult to pronounce than others, but that's why you always get people to introduce themselves, so then you can hear it again and hear it pronounced correctly. Because I may be known. Oh, sorry, got to quickly go in. Mex back on the charge, trying to take a position from Brooker. Really awkward bit of the circuit, be trying to make an overtake happen. He's managed to do it on the penultimate turn. How on earth he managed to get round him there? But Brooker loses a position. They're going to go back to the replay and see what happened. So it was coming down the hill, and they've been side by side for a couple of corners there. Mex just managing to hold on round the outside. I believe that's through Crocodiles. And manages to keep it together. Fantastically driven. I mean, fair play to both those drivers, giving each other a little bit of racing room. But Mex, obviously unhappy that he was behind Brooker, and has managed to find an amazing bit of pace and pull back in front. So he'll be really, really pleased with that. So Mex up into fourth, Brooker fifth. So great, great effort from those guys. Sorry, had to quickly cut off the interview a little bit early, so we'll restart that one again.
No worries.
How has it been in race control this evening? Obviously, we had an incident on lap 1, but apart from that, I imagine it's been pretty clean for you this evening.
Yes, indeed. Lap 1 was the scary one. I was a bit nervous. It's my first time being as race director, and I was hesitant if to bring out the safety car, but then seeing that the cars involved already retired, we basically didn't want to do it. And then when we were reviewing the incident, for the same reason that the cars retired, in question, cars in question retired, we decided that we will investigate it after the race.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, if it's not going to be actually affecting the race as it is going, not much time, so not much point putting loads of time into it, as it's not going to affect the grid as it stands. So yeah, fairly... Oh, got a yellow flag on track at the moment, actually. Oh, it's Marco, our leading AM driver. That looks like it was a mistake on that penultimate turn with the sausage. Oh, yeah, a massive collision with the outside curb. Didn't see exactly what caused it, but I can almost guarantee that was a heavy sausage collision that has done that to him. He's kept going, but that was a heavy front end impact. I'm amazed he didn't almost just dip into the pits at that point, but he's stayed out. So here we go. We're going to watch back the incident so we get a little bit further back. You can see in the back, you've got Virches starting to gain on him in the back of the shot. So here we go, coming through Crocodile, I believe. Yes, plenty of exit curb there. And are we going to see a big chunk of sausage? Yes, too much sausage. And he spun. Oh, yeah, massive impact. That front right-hand corner taking an absolute beating. And he's managed to keep the car going, and he's obviously happy that there's not so much damage that he can no longer lap. But that's a bit of a shame. It would be interesting to see how long he can go with this damage and what it is going to do to his tyres. He didn't lose any positions, but the damage to that car means that he could quite easily start eating the tyres up a lot quicker than intended. Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's the other brother. That's the other brother. I suddenly panicked and was like, oh my god, he's all the way back. He's suddenly running in last position. No, he's not. So this is the other brother. This is Ivo Mujalovic versus Shunrik. And they are battling for 12th position. So a nice little tidy battle going on there. So do apologise. We had to cut off the interview again a little bit short on that one.
No worries.
Not many crash or incidents to be reporting on this evening, but I imagine you've kept a close eye on the racing at hand. Any standout drivers that you've seen this evening?
Well, as in the previous race, Broker really seems to have picked up the pace quite a bit, and looks like he was having quite a few battles with Max. And yeah, basically, that would be that would be it for me. He's had a really stands out. Yeah,
he's had a really consistent season, hasn't he? So Brooker, sort of in his lowest finishing position has been 13th, but apart from that, he's always been inside the top 10. His best finish so far is a 4th. Oh, here we go. There's a possibly... Oh, bit of a mistake from the other Mujalovic brother. Did he
close
keep it out the wall?
with the wall? Yeah.
Yeah, really nearly put that in the tyre wall. I mean, oof, that was some nail-biting stuff. Nothing worse than when the car lets go at that high commitment corner. Someone that is on an absolute charge at the moment is Max. He is now bringing the fright to Miksic in 3rd place. So he is now trying to take away the final podium position. So that Mercedes possibly, now it's burnt off a load of fuel, feeling a little bit more nimble.
Probably. It was, yeah, but for a long time Max was in front of Brooker. Then maybe it was a series of mistakes, I'm not sure. But Brooker got in front of Max, and he was looking. He's actually gaining on Mixes as well. He had 5-second gap that dropped down to 4 seconds, but then Max started to get close to him again, and then eventually overtaking him. Yeah, but
possible move at the top of the hill. Not quite able to do anything there, but. Yeah, Max definitely sort of, I would say, well, sort of in that midway through the hour that we've just seen, he definitely dropped off the pace significantly. And obviously, like we said, that's when Brooker got past him. during that time. Yeah, because for a little while he was definitely squabbling for third place earlier in the race. So whether or not maybe he was trying to just conserve the tyres, so he was a little bit more dominant towards the end of this stint, and maybe he's just realised he's still got plenty of life left in the tyres and enough fuel that he can then push a bit harder, possibly, not sure. I mean, unless he's one of these guys that, one of these madmen, I'll say, that is going to try and maybe do a one stop, which would be very, very brave. Maybe he went down to a lower engine map just to try and fuel save for a little bit, and now he's realised that yes, he's passed the threshold and he can do it, but we'll only know once the pit stops start rolling in. But he's really, really caught up with the back of Mixich, hasn't he? He's just immediately all over the back of him.
Indeed.
And it still looks really planted, that Mercedes. I would have expected to start seeing it maybe slightly understeer this late in the race. This late into the first hour, as it can start to get a little bit sort of, I'll say, sluggish on turn-in, unless you're on the brakes and sort of really getting it to swing in. But he's really looking good, and as we've seen throughout the race, historically the Porsche's been dominant here through Sector 1, Sector 2, but actually the Mercedes really seems to be the fighting force. And say here we can see him actually gaining on him. He might be close enough to make a move. It's a really good run on the exit of the S's, actually. Hard on the brakes, he looks to the inside. Almost had to bail out completely. Just slight. Yeah, definitely looks like Brooker is starting to catch up with the back of them as well. So Max is going to want to get this done quickly. So is this also possibly maybe less of a Max charge and more of a, oh, but there we go, there's that understeer I was talking about. More of a diminishing pace from Mixich. Has he maybe pushed his tyres a little bit too hard too early, and now they're starting to wear out? But Max is going to be fully aware that Brooker is sniffing around the back of him again, and he's going to want to get any moves he can get done against Mixich as quickly as possible, or he's going to possibly end up losing that position back to Brooker. I say nothing between these guys at all, realistically. So here we go through Sector 1, and just noticed up in front there is a back marker running as well, so it'd be interesting to see how that affects these guys' race.
It is really nice to have such battles, especially on the, especially with this number of drivers, since unfortunately a lot of them dropped out of the race. So yeah, it's really nice to see see some battles.
Yeah, so it's quite, as I was saying earlier on, it's quite a long circuit, Kyalami, when you're driving slowly, but when you're actually out racing it, the laps go quite quickly. But because it does feel like quite a long distance of a circuit, the fewer cars there are out there, the less chance you are going to see battles. But to be fair, I think, apart from maybe a little 10-minute period where everyone was kind of static and a bit, just hot lapping, there's been battles throughout this entire race, which has been great to see. It's about 55 minutes of the race complete, so nearly halfway through. Still haven't seen any planned pit stops yet, but I'd be interested to see. Maybe everyone is going to try and go for a one stop then at this point, because no one's pitted quite yet. I would have been surprised if it was possible, but obviously these guys know far better than me. And who's going to get a better run here? Max really pushing on the back of Mixich. You would think that this would be where the Mercedes has the advantage over the Porsche. Porsche historically sluggish in the straights, but obviously got off the corner well enough to maintain it. There we go, there's the back marker, slightly closer again in front of them. I think it's only going to be a lap or two until they are absolutely on that back marker. Oh, a bit of a mistake there, went a little bit wide from that was Mixich going a little bit wide on the exit. Didn't appear to lose too much pace. But can the Mercedes reel in the back of the Porsche? He's really, really close. Difficult place to make a move here, though. But he's starting to show intent. We saw a little bit of a flick of that nose go across, like he was going to try and go up the inside. Not quite able to try and hang on to him through the S as best he can. And are we going to see a move here at the top of the hill? We saw it once, where he really, really gained on the back of that car, but wasn't quite able to make a move. And actually in front of them, he's got yeah, those back markers in front is Langdijk and that is Zikovic. So these guys are battling for position. They're different classes, but this is a position battle. So they may be squabbling a little bit too much to see what's going on behind them. They are under blue flag orders now. Oh, but there we go. Really, really, really deep from Mikzic. Not what he would have wanted. I imagine that would have maybe picked him up a track limits warning. Everyone clean through the penultimate turn. Oh, there we go. Langdijk into the pits, actually. So there we go. The first planned pitter of the race. Oh, did get the overlap there? No, not quite. Dipped back in behind the Mercedes. I thought he had enough to get past him there, possibly on the exit of the turn, but not able to. But this is not what Max wanted. And now Brooker looks to the inside, not able to make a move there. The Jaguar just in front of them. Nowhere to dive out the way very easily yet, but he's going to have to make a move pretty soon, or he's going to start holding up these leaders. So looking to the inside, amazingly, can't really even see anyone flashing. There we go, gets on the brakes earlier, and two of them make it through. Oh, big load of curb there from Max. Manages to hold it together. Testament to how well that car is set up, as it managed to, even though it took a monstrous amount of curb, but he's trying to go around the outside towards the top of the S's, not able to. Brooker now looking up the inside. Again, they all go single file and take the optimum line. And I imagine Mex would have wanted to try and take advantage of the back markers a bit better than that. And Brooker looks to the inside. He's going to be there, hard on the brakes. I think Mex is just carrying enough speed around the outside. No, he's not. They're neck and neck. It's going to be full commitment down the hill. Who can hold it together? Oh, Mex looks like he's going to have the inside for this turn. Can he get it done on the brakes? No, he can't. Loses position back to Brooker again. So these two back and forth. Neither of them able to hold on to the position for too long. Oh, Doyle into the pits as well. And there we go. Brooker comes into the pits. So gained the position and then straight into the pits. So obviously deciding to go for some clean air and try and get himself out on a fast lap. But what that has meant is that Mikzic, while that squabble was going on, has reopened the gap to 1.4 seconds to Max. So in the pit is Doyle and Brooker. So the first of our drivers to make their pit stops. So as far as Mex is concerned, that was a lot of squabbling to not really gain a lot. Obviously, he's lost a load of ground now to Mikzic. That's not what he would have wanted. And obviously, Bellato's got into the pits, so I imagine Bellato, well, he's definitely going to come out the pits afterwards. But when Mex pits, it'd be interesting to see quite how close he is. Sorry, to Brooker. Do apologise. See how close he is to Brooker once he has completed his pit.
Okay, Tim, I will be going back to do my job if there is something to do.
Oh, who's that? Mex off. Oh no, it was unassisted. It was just outbraked himself. I thought, yes, you were suddenly going to be very busy in the booth. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Apologies that I keep having to cut in and out into you to just suddenly start blurting out what's going on circuit. But thank you ever so much for joining us, and hopefully we don't have to hear you doing your big serious race control voice too much this evening.
Yeah, I hope that as well. Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you later.
Yep, see you later. Thank you ever so much for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Mex and Bellato now into the pits. So this is going to be the one to watch. Is Mex going to reappear from the pit in front or behind Brooker? This is going to be the real tell. Oh, okay, we've got everyone into the pits now, haven't we? Brooker's out on circuit, which is obviously what we wanted to see. Borovic still out as well. For some reason, it's showing Verchez on pole. I'm not sure why he's showing as pole position. Maybe. When did Borovic pit? When was that? I must have missed that at some point, so never mind. So Mex is still currently where he is. Mixic pulling out of the pit now. So it gets hard on the throttle. Brooker coming down the straight. Yeah, Brooker's going to take the position away from Mex. I would almost be certain. Yes, he is. There we go. Look, there's Mex pulling out of the pit. So he lost even more ground to Brooker during the pit stop. So obviously that mistake he made at the top of the hill going through the gravel, that was the real nail in the coffin for him. So now running significantly further down the grid. And he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, I would presume, because obviously he was right there with the battle for third place and is now squarely in 6th position. And he's got a little bit of ground to make up before he can catch up with the back of Brooker. And as we saw before, Brooker pushing forward nicely, so he may be able to take the fight to Mixic. So possibly a bit of a change that we might see. Who knows? So with just over an hour of the race completed, the grid as it stands at the moment is Verchez in first position, Borovic second, Doyle in third, Mixic in fourth position, Brooker fifth, Mex in sixth, Bellato seventh, Marko Miljelovic in 8th place, and he is our leading AM driver. Dunster in 9th, our 2nd place AM driver. Langdijk in 10th. And we've got Zikovic, our 3rd place AM driver, in 11th place. Ivo Miljelovic in 12th. And Shunrik in 13th position. So slightly thinner grid than we had at the beginning of the race, but everyone's sticking it out nicely together. Gotta say, really nice colour combination on that McLaren, and really good to see that car number 12 sticking it out for the duration, being a little bit further down on the grid this race, but doing a really nice job of sticking out there, kept himself out of trouble the entire time. So always good to see drivers sticking it out for the full 2 hours. Coming up to the top of the hill now. So Bellato, car number 14. I don't think we've really had much view of him this evening, but another driver that's doing really well, running in 7th on the track at the moment. Bellato, championship-wise, is running in 10th. So his best finish so far has been 6th position. So pretty good. He's had a 14th, 9th, a 7th, 2 6s, two 9th places actually. So he's had some pretty good races. It was a DNF last time round at Laguna Seca, but he's out there at the moment inside the top 10. It's looking like a reasonable finish for him if he can maintain it. About 55 minutes of the race left. So there we go, Verchez into the pits. So be interesting to see where he comes out, because he was doing a really good effort of climbing his way up the grid. Obviously him and Charles starting right from the back. Charles no longer with us in the lobby, but if we are Verchez, so he is a pro driver. Where in the championship is Verchez? He is 12th place at the moment, reasonably close to Noble in front of him, who we saw obviously retire earlier, and then it is Bellato above him. So Bellato going to outscore him at the moment, so possibly not going to gain a position there, but he's going to definitely outscore Noble at this point. So a possible jump up the order for him, which would be nice little bonus. Always try and gain a position in the very last moments of the championship. So Verchez comes out 7th place, so managed to keep it just in front of the AM drivers, so squarely inside the top 10, and we'll keep an eye on him as he has another hour to keep himself pushing forward. So looking at his finishes, well, yeah, it's a 6th, a 3rd, an 11th, and a 10th. So a bit of a mixed bag for him. He's had 2 do not starts and a did not finish. So Slightly mixed season for him, but I mean, good effort to be that high up in a season. Bear in mind those 3 sets of results he didn't pick up. So possibly next season things will work out a little bit better for him. So Borovic still with the fastest lap of the race as well at the moment. So really is dominant on all fronts. Baruka running in 4th with it was over 2 seconds back to Mex, and there's a back marker there as well. Oh, there goes Mex in the background of that shot, dispatching the back marker and getting past nice and quickly and cleanly. So back with Bellato, currently running in 6th place. And who is that in front of him? That is the Parker BMW of Lang. Yeah, it's Langdijk, that's the one. So, actually, I want to say that Bellato is, unless Mex can refine his pace and his comfortability in that car, there is a possibility that Bellato may be able to push forward. And again, really good to see a slightly older car, the Lexus, pushing on as well as it is. I think they're pretty much non-existent on GT3 grids at the moment in real life racing, so good to see that they maintain to be a dominant force here in the simulation world. So just outside the top 5, but squarely within inside the top 10. Be a really nice finish, finishing in front of all the AM drivers as well. Always a bonus just for the bragging rights that you can say you didn't let any AM drivers get past you. That may have been a slightly different story if Van Coley was still here in the race, but as we saw earlier on, had to retire due to a hurting his back was very much hurting, and obviously with 2 hours to go, it's a big old race to try and do. So I am going to come out and say that I think everyone is going to do the single pit stop. Not what I expected at all. I expected to see someone at least do a 2-stop, but I think everyone at the moment is going to just do a planned single stop. So the gaps have opened up pretty significantly for all these guys. And Bellato still running nicely, starting to catch up with Langdijk now. Yeah, actually blue flags are out for Langdijk already at this point, so he'll be aware that he's got a faster car coming up behind him. I don't imagine he'll do anything silly. He's been pretty good at letting people past. Obviously, one of those always a matter for contention. People with blue flags. Most of the time, it is, well, I would say it is always the job of the faster driver to make the pass happen safely. But obviously, different people have slightly differing opinions. I always think to myself, stick to the racing line, and if there's an opportunity, maybe just back off the throttle slightly. Oh, Miljelovic, our leading AM driver, into the pits. Obviously. So he was carrying damage earlier from that big incident, and we saw him continue to lap. So, he's already lost that position to Dunster. So Dunster now running in pole in AM class in that number 4 Porsche. So not what he would have wanted immediately to lose a position there. So not even being in the pits 2 seconds. And here comes some other guys as well that may be about to take positions away from him. So this is one of those moments where Langdijk obviously has Bellato coming up behind him, but really seemed to outstretch him on the track. Oh, there we go. Miljelovic out of the pits. All that damage seems to be repaired. The bonnet freshly taped back down again. So fingers crossed he can get back out there and put in some pace. I think he's literally just fixed the damage, and that was it. That was a very, very quick pit stop. So there's no way that was damage and fuel and tyres. Obviously decided that he needed to get that damage fixed. So now running in 2nd place in the AM Championship compared to Dunster. I don't think he was really under any worries of losing any positions in the overall championship by letting that position go. So probably better to get it done, and then they can carry on again. Okay, so having a look now, Doyle, who obviously has been running in P2 basically since turn 1, appears to have some sort of damage to his car and is losing pace. And Migzic has really closed in on the back of him. Yeah, the front end of that BMW is not looking very happy. And there was a big old gap earlier on. And he's diving into the pits. So it'll be interesting to see just how long... Oh, he stopped at the pit line. Is this a possible retirement for Doyle? Yes, it's a retirement for Doyle, which I'm amazed at. He's been dominant the entire race, so I'm not sure caused that damage. Whether it was just a mistake of his own, is it quite possible? Hour and 12 minutes of this race completed. Very, very easy to make a mistake at this point. You sort of, not only are you mentally tired, but also physically tired at this point, depending on what rig these guys are running for their simulation. Obviously, some of them are running some pretty brutal racing rigs that really do physically tire you out after a while. But yeah, a bit of a shame to see him drop out. But there we go. Brooker now up to 3rd place, so inherits a position. So it is now a Porsche 1, 2, 3, and it is 2 of the Pirate Racing guys, I believe, in 1st and 2nd. So they'll be pleased to get back that 1st and 2nd position. But yeah, a bit of a shame. And like I said, not sure what happened to Doyle. But obviously whatever it was enough to make him want to retire. So... Migzic is going to have to be aware of Brooker behind him. 2.1 seconds between them at the moment. That really is nothing. And as we've seen, Brooker really is quite on a charge. Made a move on Mex, then lost that move, and then remade the move a couple of laps later. And then, when everything went on with the pit stops, gained a massive advantage over Mex. So... there is the possibility that we could maybe see him take away 2nd place from Migzic. I mean, would still be a podium finish if he can then hang on to 3rd place. But Migzic is not going to want to lose that 1st and 2nd place for Pirate Racing. Okay, actually turning out, just had my man in the background, Mally, giving me a little bit of info. Brooker actually running slightly slower, so we might get some other guys catching up. All the way back down to 5th place, supposedly outlapping him at the moment. Then we just saw car number 12, that back marker, just minding out the way of our 2nd place runner. And again, looks like he's going a little bit deep at the top of the hill. Okay, so this is Ivo Mojalovic. So he is currently chasing after the back of Zikovic, and this is the battle for 3rd place in AM class. So that gap has certainly squeezed down a fair bit tighter. I've got to say, I love this steel livery on these Mercedes. I think it's really, really cool. Really sort of understated, but really, really smart. How quickly can he gain on that Jag? Looks like he's making a fair bit of progress on him. And swinging it in. So just while we're keeping a little eye on this, quick little bit of a shout out, obviously to Sim Racing Pro, one of our sponsors here. Give them a check out, and as part of the community of ISDA. There is possibilities for discount codes as part of the community. So a little bit of self-plugging for ISDA. They've got the Spring GT3 Championship coming up soon, as this is the last round of the Winter Championship. So get yourself over there and signed up. Links should all be in the description to join the Discord, get involved. Really nice community, as we said before. Clean racing. They use the safety car system, they use live stewarding and live real-life race control. So really, really well put together and cool community, these guys. really looking for clean, close racing. That's the main thing, is proper competitive, close racing, but without the issues. So they have got their next GT3 series coming up soon. I think the evaluation race is on the 7th of April, and then the opening round a week later on the 14th. And I believe that is Paul Ricard. So get yourself involved in that if you fancy a bit of racing. As you've seen here this evening, some real mixed abilities. So everyone is welcome as long as you can keep it on the straight and narrow and not crash anybody out. But also on Tuesday nights there is a Super Trofeo, slightly more casual sort of social championship going on, and that's running throughout March. So I think there is one more round to go on Tuesday, so might be worthwhile checking that out. You might be able to, if there's any spots, might be able to jump in on the last round of that. So yeah, give us a little look. But we should all be back next season for the GT3 series. I very much hope that I would have completed my house move and we'll be all set to do commentary at that point for the first round, as I'm living in a house surrounded by boxes at the moment. It is a hellscape I would wish upon not even my worst enemy. So this little battle is really starting to heat up now. Say third place battle in AM class, but slowly but surely that Mercedes is closing in on the back of the Jaguar. About 42 minutes of the race left, so plenty of time to get the moves done nice and cleanly. Shouldn't be anything too silly. Oh, little look into turn one, but backs out of it again. But definitely now close enough to start showing a little bit of keen. And again, runs a slightly wider line. Going to look to get a better exit here. Can he do it? He's going to have to get the move done pretty quick. And no, that Jag just seems to have the legs. What's going to happen under braking? And the Jag seemed to get a significantly better run there. Little look for the Mercedes. Not able to take advantage. Okay, coming up behind them at this point, we've got Borovic, our race leader, coming up behind these guys. So there is possibly going to shake up their battle because they will be under blue flag orders. And the very last thing they want to do is hold up the pro leader or any obviously car that's about to lap them again. But it's an awkward position to be in, especially for Mugellovic. He is going to want to keep pushing as hard as possible and see if he can take advantage of this situation, but at the same time does not want to cause issue for Borovic. The last thing these two want to do is take out the race winner or hold him up to the point where they end up getting penalised for So apologies about that. Had a complete lock-up on my end, so didn't actually get to see what happened there. So massively apologies that I've missed out on the commentary of that moment. Oh, a little bit choppy there from Zikovic. I just came back into it. Obviously, already seen that Borovic managed to make it past the third place driver Miljelovic, but looked like he had a significantly harder job getting past the Jaguar. So I do apologise that I had to drop out for a moment there. Hopefully I didn't miss too much. If we did, I imagine Mally will be able to show us on a replay if I missed anything too drastic, but I imagine it was a reasonably clean set of moves made by these guys. Just been confirmed that there was nothing out the ordinary, so I do apologise that the comms went silent for a moment or two there. For some reason, it all just decided to stop. It's been a season to forget for me in the comms box. It's been full of illnesses and computer problems, and then all rounded up with some nice internet issues as well. So for Borovic, it is a season to remember as a dominant season. For me, it's a season that to a certain extent I will be glad is over, and then I can start afresh next time round with hopefully some slightly better internet than what I'm dealing with at the moment. So the battle still rages on for 10th place overall and 3rd place in class. And I imagine Evo is going to be pretty keen to get past, so then he can have a podium position next to his brother, and both those still Mercedes can be there on the podium together. Obviously, the still runners in 1st place in the pro category, and having a great time with it. But these guys still having to really squabble it out. Sorry, Mally, can you just say that again? Sorry, my man behind the scenes, I missed what he said. Okay, no, my bad. Sorry, I was listening to something that was not meant for me, so all good. Oh, so little move at the top of the hill there, and Miljelovic looks like we're gonna have to, because obviously there's the two of them and they're too close together now. Evo looking like he's really trying to push as hard as he possibly can. Zikovic still doing a really, really good job of holding him off. A big move under brakes, but not able to make a move, and it looks like Evo really sort of went for the move and had to bail out of it, and that has really, really compromised his racing line and has lost a lot of ground again. It just seems like every time he closes up on the back of that big roaring Jaguar, that he immediately loses the ground when he tries to make a move. Real difficult position to be in, to be fair. Obviously wanting to make a move but not sacrifice what he has. Obviously 4th place is still not a bad result whatsoever, but he'll want to try and reel in that Jag and make the move. Everybody wants to see that podium. Nothing better than standing on the podium, quite frankly. Even if it is in a game, especially when you've been doing this for, what is an hour and 25 minutes these guys have been racing now. So just under 35 minutes of the race left. Oh, and a really good run there by the Mercedes. Is it a possible move here? Not quite. Nice and close as they come towards the S's though. Little look up the inside, not able to make the move stick. Definitely quicker there on the entrance, but possibly slightly compromised himself. So under braking at the top of the hill. See very different lines. The Jag going defensive, hugging that inside. Can he make a move here? We saw him last lap try and make a little move here, but wasn't able to. So as they come on the brakes, is he going to do anything? He sticks right to the outside, possibly going to try and get a better run on the exit. But it's a really hard place on the circuit to try and get a pass done. The pair of them fly through. again, nice and clean. What's his exit going to be like? Can Miljelovic, can Ivo finally get the run he needs? But look at that Jag in a straight line. I reckon the Jag is running a reasonably low wing again, has to be said. Because as soon as it gets on the straights, it is thundering away from everything in its path. And it is just enough to be able to hold off Ivo for the rest of the lap. See, under braking, you can see that the Jag is nowhere near as competitive as the Mercedes, but difficult track to pass on. Bit of a mistake there, though. And now possibly going to have the run up towards the long right-hander. Can he do anything under brakes? Not quite. No, it's the same again. It's just deja vu for these guys. At some point, the armour has to break. Surely that Jaguar will eventually have to step aside or he'll make a mistake and let that big Mercedes through. But at the moment, that angry cat is spitting and hissing and holding on to his positions. Oh, so under braking at the top of the hill. There was definitely a lot of contact. There has been contact and a second contact as well. So not sure. Oof, I would imagine that Ivo thought that Zukovic was going to pull away and then didn't. So maybe the car was stalled. So tried to go under braking, wasn't able to. The door was closed, and then there's a second impact. So that's not going to be very good. That is, I imagine, that race control will have something to say about that. Zukovic is still out there. I thought for a moment that Ivo was actually going to wait and let Zukovic recover. But that turned out to not be the case. Okay, just had it confirmed that they don't, ISDA normally don't go for the waiting thing, which again is probably a better thing. There's nothing worse than then, rather than just one car being stranded at the side of the circuit, is then a car parked at the side of the circuit for no good reason. So Miljelovic out and racing, but I'd still imagine there may be something under review from race control. So they'll have something to do at long last. It's been a quiet old race for them. But for now, Ivo Miljelovic is in third place
This
overall.
is the incident between cars 998 and 68, lap 51, turn 10 under investigation. Incident between cars 998 and 68, lap 51, turn 10 under investigation. Over.
So there we go. As we thought might be the case, race control are right. They are investigating the incident. As we said earlier on, the drivers out on the circuit, they would have been informed of that as well. They should be listening into race control, and they would have heard what is going on. So always good to keep a little bit of an ear on it, has to be said, as long as the guys are in the right voice chat. So on board with a different battle now. This is Brooker currently running in third, about a second and a half behind our second place driver Mixic, who obviously these two gained a position when Doyle left the race earlier after his damage, which is actually, to be fair, still don't know how that happened. To be fair, that might be something post race might be able to find out about. Someone may have some information. But for now, Brooker really does seem to be trying to take the fight to him. It was a second and a half last time we looked at the gap, so as they cross the line, we'll get a fresh update. Yep, so about 0.2 of a second improvement there. So he is starting to gain on the back of Mixic. Just under half an hour of the race left to go. Plenty of time to gain a position if he wants to. Really depends on how quickly he manages to catch up with the back of him. Bellato still down in fourth place. Fairly decent gap for those guys. And Mex obviously in fifth. Virtue's in sixth place. So that seems to be where he's kind of settled in after obviously starting from the pit lane. And who have we got? Dunster is in 7th place, our leading AM driver. Langdijk in 8th. 9th place and 2nd in the AM Championship is Marko Mujalovic. And then his brother currently running in 10th position, Ivo. But obviously incident under review with our 11th place driver, Zakovic. And then rounding out the grid at the moment is Shunrik in 12th place in the number 12 McLaren. So the only McLaren out there on the circuit this evening. But for now, we'll keep our eyes on Brooker, who is now less than a second behind Mikzic. So another lap complete. So we'll be able to have a look at him as they cross the same point in a moment. Here we go. What is it looking like now, lap times wise? It's another improvement, I think. Yeah, so still under a second between them. And this car they're coming up behind is... That's a Porsche. I want to say that is Dunster, I believe, is who they're coming up behind. There's blue flags. So, yes, that's got to be Dunster that they're coming up. I can double check that. Yes, Pirate Racing Academy car. So one of the Pirate Racing cars, but in the AM class, the Pirate Racing Academy. So I imagine the guys will be talking to each other and it'll be saying, please, please don't hold me up. And he doesn't. He goes to the outside, actually gets off the racing line and sticks to the outside and lets those two through with no issues whatsoever. So no real advantage gained by there, but he's still definitely closer. Maybe that did a bit more damage to Mikzic than we first thought, as Brooker really, really on the charge. What's he going to be able to do here? Can he get second place overall? Can he take one of the points away, sorry, one of those positions away from... Oh, here we go, race control's back.
Car number 998 receives 20 seconds penalty for causing a collision. Car number 998 receives a penalty, 20 seconds penalty for causing a collision. Over.
Oh, so there we go. Heard it from race control. Car number 998 with a 20-second penalty for causing that incident at the top of the hill. So that is a huge penalty, and this late in the race as well. So he's currently running obviously in 10th position, but that is definitely going to lose a position back to the Jaguar at least. I'm not sure if he'll lose another position to Shunrik or not, but that is a huge blow after battling for as long as he did, and then obviously just, well, we saw him obviously cause the incident, caught the back of the Jag. It was quite a big hit, and then obviously second collision as well with them, as he was then trying to get himself going again. Obviously the Jag struggling to get himself started and off the circuit. So yeah, there we go. 12-second penalty is in place. Sorry, 20-second penalty is in place. So still sticking with this Brooker-Mikzic battle. And as you can see, Brooker still pushing really hard. Just seems to carry a little bit more speed in some vital places. Not close enough to make any kind of move as of yet, but still looking very much the aggressor in this battle. At this point, I wonder what sort of state Mikzic's car is in. What's his tyre situation like? How much fuel is in that car? Oh, looks like he may be slightly understeered on the entrance there and lost a bit of speed. I say the Porsche, one of those cars that you've got to be really careful with the fuel levels. You obviously don't want to carry a load of extra weight, but when the tank gets quite empty, it can suffer from understeer. So sometimes it might be worthwhile running a little bit extra fuel. But that obviously can lead to tyre wear earlier in the race, obviously braking and wearing out those tyres with more weight. But at the moment, Brooker's pace is definitely quicker than Mikzic. So whether it's car, driver or setup, I'm not sure, but whatever it is, Mikzic's time is tumbling away now. very, very equal at this point, and you can just see how unsettled the Porsches are as they enter there. Just a slight squirm of the car as they turn in, and the front end loses grip for just a second, then regains it. Obviously the back end, with all that weight of the engine over it, always pretty much has loads and loads of grip. Oh, not the best move from Bellato there, missed that first apex. So Miksic gets a little bit of reprieve. You can just breathe for a second here at the top end of the circuit. Oh, but it looks like he made a mistake as well. Went really deep. This is Brooker's chance to really close up on the back of him. He's going to be in the slip for this coming down the hill. Yeah, he is close enough. Looks to the inside. Is he going to go around the outside? The door gets closed on him. Oh, come on, cameras. Oh, God love ACC and its sudden camera angle issues it has from time to time. So nothing happened there, but Brooker really showing that he has the pace to get this done. So going to go back to the replay on that battle, see if we can spot what happened. It really, really looked like Brooker was going to try and go up the inside here and then switch to the outside, but the door was closed off and then not able to make a move. Again, though, he has a decent run, but nowhere to actually get a move completed. And both of them through the penultimate turn, no issues at all. Both of them taking quite safe lines and avoiding that big sausage. Nothing worse than writing your race off by running over that inside curb. So 22 minutes of the race left. Ivo Mugellovic still has not served his 22nd penalty. I'm not sure when he's going to commit that or whether he's going to just take it to the end of the race and have it added on. But I think that then also adds on more if you don't serve it. You might as well get it done. It would just be the time penalty if he did go all the way to the end. So he might stick it out just so he can come in third on the road. But, oh, move up the inside here under braking by Brooker. No, not able to. But that Pirate Racing Porsche is looking more and more unsettled, and Brooker is looking more and more determined. He's like a seagull after your chips. He is pecking away at the back of this Porsche, and he is not giving an inch. Again, really closes up under brakings. Just looks like Brooker's, maybe his car is just slightly holding together better than Miksic. Struggling to remember who pitted first out of these two. So whether or not it's the case of tyres maybe in slightly better condition, but with 20 minutes of the race left, if it is a tyre issue, it's really, really going to affect it. It only gets worse. It just compounds and gets worse towards the end. Or if you have graining on your tyres, I know some people say you can sort of drive through the graining stage and then it can get better, but very difficult if you're battling to sort everything out. And it does look like Miksic is struggling to get that car stopped and turned in. He's giving it absolutely everything. Brooker just maintaining the pressure, maybe hoping to force a mistake from Miksic. Unlikely that we'll see a mistake from him, but it's still worth trying. You never know. I say this is they're significantly far further apart in the championship, so this isn't necessarily one for championship positions, but track position and overall bragging rights. Really, really good effort. I say Brooker 7th in the championship at the moment with 58 points. And Miksic in third with 85 points, so quite a difference. But here we go, slightly different line from Brooker. Went deeper on the entrance, possibly trying to straight line the exit a little bit more. So again, close behind, but not close enough, I don't think, this time. No, not close enough to make a move this time. He's going to have to try and tee himself up for a move on this following lap. Unless he could do something here, but good Lord, he's all over the back of him again. Again, they both run all the way out to the outside, running a little bit into the gravel, but not so much to slow the cars down, just enough to shower everyone with some dirt. And that's a really, really good run from Brooker. He's definitely in the tow. Can he do anything now as they come down towards turn one? He's dipping and weaving. Miksic defending like a madman. So what's Brooker going to do? Is he going to try and go around the outside, or is he going to try and get the cut back? think he was just pushed to the outside and not able to do what he wanted. But Miksic is now in full defense mode. Just under 19 minutes of the race left. And if Miksic can hold on to second place overall, that will be nothing short of a miracle, as Brooker is coming for his blood. Again, swings it through at the top of it, towards the top of the S's. We've seen a couple of times that these guys close up on the exit, just where Miksic car just doesn't seem to be able to maintain that front end grip and therefore maintain the speed. And real big move there by Brooker. I thought he was going to swing to the inside. I think it was a bit of a dummy play. Maybe try and unsettle the Porsche of Miksic. Who is going to get the better run down the hill? They both look pretty similar. So on board with Brooker now, looking forward. But you see, under braking, just Brooker looks so much more confident. Car still looks reasonably settled in front of him. Oh, but a big apex miss there from Miksic. Brooker almost looked to go up the inside into the final turn, and actually might have a good run here. Yet side by side there's a slight overlap. Is there? It's the smallest of margins, but there is a slight overlap, so the door cannot be closed on him now. Miksic forced to the outside. Outbrakes Brooker though for the first time in a few laps. Manages to outbrake him and manages to hold on to it. Good lord, I have no idea how he managed to hold on to that position then. I was convinced that Brooker had him, but this is possibly a sign. So we're going to have a re-look back over that move. Oh, I think we just missed it on the replay. No, it's one of those things of ACC has quite limited abilities to replay. It's sort of either like, it's the timings are a bit odd. So every once in a while when you try and nip back to catch a replay, it can sometimes be a bit of a challenge. But never mind, the battle still goes on. We got a good view of it the first time round. So Brooker, top of the hill, can he do anything this time? Goes to the outside. He's sticking to his faster line. Miksic going for that more defensive inside. Brooker just obviously trying to go for the run, and I've just seen looming into the front of the shot there is possibly a back marker ahead of them. I can't quite see who that one is. I want to say Carnum. Oh, that is... That is the Jag. Yes, it is the Jag. Yes, it is indeed the Jag. Oh, here we go. Is it moving to the final turn? No, Brooker again has a little look. But a really, really good run off the exit this time. Can he get it done? He's close up behind Miksic. Can he get this done? Just over 15 and a half minutes to go. He hasn't got the overlap like he did last time. He's looking to the outside. Miksic going super defensive and holding on to that tight inside line. But that's really going to affect his exit, surely. Brooker just not able to take advantage of his runs that he's getting. He's catching up with the back of Miksic, but every time Miksic is covering the door perfectly and stopping anything getting past him. But it is going to be a big effort still. 15 minutes left, and these two are squabbling to the death. And that Jag is getting much, much closer. So these two right on top of each other as they enter the S's. Brooker going to be looking to get a better exit and possibly be able to make a move at the top of the hill. Miksic looks like he's going defensive on the inside again and then goes to the outside. So he took a less defensive line that time, but it hasn't necessarily worked to his advantage. Brooker managing to roll on the throttle and keep the power going as well. So Miksic maybe start going less defensive and just trying to outrun Brooker, as defending him is clearly becoming a bit of a futile effort, and Brooker is really, really pushing to get past. Both of them go a little bit wide on the exit there. Brooker doesn't look up the inside this time and instead just goes for optimal exit. He's right on the back of him and again pokes his nose up the outside. Is there going to be an overlap? I think there might be just enough. He's running as close as he dares. Miksic can't close the door on him this time. Brooker's got to try and be brave on the brakes. Gets it up the inside this time. Can he hold on to it? Miksic pushed to the outside. Still side by side coming into turn 2. Yes, they are. Brooker still holds on to it. He's going to have the advantage here on the inside. No, he's not. Miksic holds on. Goes a little bit wide on the dirt. My goodness gracious. How Miksic is getting that car to hold on at this point. That was absolutely... Right, we're going to go back and watch that again from a different angle. So, this is they're coming towards the end of the previous lap. So, swings it in, and you can see Brooker already starting to close up with him. Gets a slightly better run on the exit. Well, basically he makes the apex, and just like Miksic did not. So he has a really good run, and then you just see as soon as he gets out round the side of that Porsche, he isn't able to keep pushing forward. The two of them so equal, incredibly close to having contact, but just about keeping it out of damage. And again, he just manages to get the inside under braking. And at that point, I thought he had the move done, but no, Miksic comes back into turn 2 and manages to defend. And it just keeps Brooker off the line that he wants. And then again, Brooker just, I think, maybe even slightly backed out coming through there. And it meant he didn't manage to maintain the position. So he'll be very disappointed in that. But the battle rages on. Oh, has it happened? It's happened while we were watching the replay. It happened while we were watching the previous replay, so we might be able to go back and... Yes, here we go. So whereabouts on the circuit are we now? Let's try and work this out. So just after the S's, so top of the hill. What happened here? Brooker goes around the outside, maybe going for a switchback. Not here, so must have been the bottom of the hill under braking. Doesn't look like he's that close, but again, like we said, the braking confidence from Brooker was far, far more. So what happens here? Was it on the exit, or maybe it was... See, they run in. There we go. Miksic tousled with the sausage and sent himself flying off into the gravel. Really lucky that he didn't over-rotate or get fired into the wall. So, all things considered, not a bad outcome for him at that point, it has to be said. He got away quite lucky with that one. But Brooker gains the position, and let's see how quickly he can stretch out a lead. Both those cars now past the back markers at this point. The Jag actually looks like it's on the offensive ever so slightly. Took a very sort of attacking line against Miksic then. Definitely doesn't want to be getting too tangled up with these two. Oh, so the battle for P5. So this is Verchez versus Mex. So Verchez from the back of the grid, and Mex, who we saw start in, I believe, 4th or 5th place, and was running in 4th for quite a long time. Now tumbling down the order and is now under attack. And I think that was a mistake there from Mex. Yeah, has to go defensive, take the inside. That's definitely going to have impacted his exit speed. Verchez looks like he's going to have the run down into turn 1. So Verchez is going to get himself possibly into the top 5. So back of the grid, pit lane start, the way up to the beginning is an incredible effort. And yes, really gets the move done. Miles in advance on Mex. So actually looking at the front of Mex's car, he might be carrying a little bit of front end damage. Not sure whether or not he is, but it looked like maybe that bonnet did have a bit of a bigger gap than it should do as standard. But Verchez will be really pleased with that. And yeah, I reckon there might be a slight bit of damage to the front of that Mercedes. Is that possibly where his pace has gone? Is he trying to carry that bit of front end damage and possibly suffering with tyre wear? So the next man on the list is going to be Bellato. But while that battle was just finished off, Miksic appears to be trying to take the battle back to Brooker. So it appears being in the front of this battle is not where you want to be, because you immediately come under attack again. So Brooker 2nd place, Miksic 3rd. And if Brooker can stay clean and keep lapping like he was 4, he should be able to escape. But maybe Miksic got a bit of a fresh blood. And actually, this is less than a minute left of the race, so this is going to be their last lap. I presume this is going to be their last. 8.5 minutes left. Sorry, I'm just blind. For a minute, I was like, oh my goodness, there's less than a minute. I didn't know where that had gone. Apologies about that. The old eyes are pretty rubbish from time to time. Goodness gracious. Sorry, if anyone was there watching and suddenly went, wait, hang on, what have I missed? As I was very surprised myself. That's why I suddenly jumped out and blurted it out. But there we go. So still about 8 minutes of the race left. Borovec still very, very much the dominant force in first place. Brook had done a great effort of climbing his way up through the grid and got himself into second now. Not in the clear though. Miksic still very much trying to get trying to get a position back. But I'd be surprised if he's able to. It looked like his speed was waning previously. So now it's a case of maybe damage control and make sure that Bellato and Virches don't catch up with him. I mean, there seems to be a pretty ginormous gap between those guys. So he should be pretty safe. Oh, there we go. Bellato getting past the back marker of Zikovic. The two slightly older models hammering it down the hill together. But yeah, actually looking at it, that gap isn't that big between Bellato and Miksic. Just over 7 minutes of the race left. It really depends how quickly Miksic, his tyres drop off, because he does appear to be losing a significant amount of pace. So maybe it'll be a case of he can might be able to reel him in slowly. Possibly. He's going to have to get a wriggle on if he wants to get it done. I suppose about half the length of the pitch straight between them. Brooker's still not really able to pull away as quickly as I thought he'd be able to. Really thought we were going to see Brooker just absolutely, sign out. Oh, but another mistake from Miksic there. Went onto the grass on the exit, and that would definitely slow down his exit speed. Manages to hold it together there, though, not losing too much more ground. But as you can see, Brooker, lap by lap, just eking away. Definitely not having to go defensive at all, which is a massive bonus for him. Obviously, you think Miksic for a long time was having to defend to keep him away. But now Brooker able to get into some clean air and really try and put his foot down. And yeah, Miksic is definitely losing ground. So can he hold it together? It's going to be a case of just keep himself on the circuit, keep lapping cleanly. Oh, but he goes really, really deep there. Really deep. Luckily, there's a lot of runoff at that point. There's no gravel or anything. But he runs into the curb and a big slide. Managing to hold it together again. But I almost don't want to say anything because he's just, every time I speak, this man seems to have a slight incident. And I imagine at this point, Bellato is licking his lips with excitement. He's watching that gap in front of him tumble down. And if Bellato can keep pushing as hard as he is, and as Miksic keeps making mistakes like he is, then highly possible that we could see Miksic off the podium. So this is less of a battle for position as it is just a case of a battle for survival here from Miksic. So after being a pretty dominant... it was 2.5 seconds gained by Bellato last lap. So that is a ridiculous amount of time gained. We'll keep a little bit of an eye on that as we continue on. 4.5 minutes left of the race. So a couple more laps in there. So where is our leader? He's at the beginning of a lap. So I reckon maybe 3 laps, maybe 4, depending on the times. Probably around 3 laps more to go, I'd say. So these guys doing sort of like in the 140s, these lap times. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to hold it together. But you see Brooker has completely booked out and is gone now. He is absolutely flying away. Hopefully he doesn't get tangled up with Shunrik in 12th position. But keeping a little eye on this Pirate Racing Porsche, piloted by Miksic, and it does appear to be struggling a fair bit. Runs pretty deep on the exit there. What is the gap going to look like now? Mally, has the gap decreased or not? I need you to let me know on this one. So 2/10 now. There's nothing between them really. And then you can really start to see it on the camera angles as well. You can see that Lamborghini gaining... Not Lamborghini? Lexus. Good Lord. You can see the Lexus thundering up behind him. And I imagine Miksic is feeling a bit of a heavy feeling in his stomach as he's looking in his mirrors and seeing that great big Lexus coming up. There's a back marker to contend with as well. It's the last thing he needs. Shunrik, a really, really respectful back marker, and has been getting out the way, going above and beyond to make sure he doesn't hold anyone up. But there's still the possibility. Oh, it almost looked like Miksic may have dipped a tyre into the exit there. And Bellato will be giving absolutely everything he can at this moment. He'll be desperate to get a move done. Is Shunrik going to stay off the line for a minute longer? We had to go back onto the racing line for a moment, but yes, Bellato through quickly. And there he is, back of the shot. He's right there. Just over 2 minutes of the race left. Miksic this time manages to keep it on the straight and narrow. And there has to be that thing going through Bellato's mind of, does he try and find extra pace and push even harder, or does he just stick as he is? 4th place is not a bad position to end, but he'll want that last podium position. But it's a big risk. It's a really big risk. If he has an incident, I mean, that's the last thing he wants. He doesn't want to lose any positions to anyone else. So, right, so we've got this and another lap. So this is their penultimate lap for these guys. I mean, I would be astounded if Bellato can get past Miksic. Yeah, so here we go. This, I think, is going to be... This will be the final lap for Borovic. He's just, I would presume... He won't reach the time, reach the line before the time is gone. He's just started another lap with a minute left on the clock. So these... Yeah, Brooker appears to be dropping off the pace. Oh, significantly, actually. So whether or not he thought he was in the clear and has backed off to stay clean, I'm not sure, but this is not what we expected to see. I really thought that Brooker was going to, once he pulled away, was going to be able to pull away and stay away. As soon as Miksic catches up with the back of Brooker, though, he is immediately going to get caught up by Bellato. So Brooker might be slightly safer than he thinks, but it is going to be seriously tight. They've got basically a lap and 2 corners to go for these guys. Can they hold it together? Can they just maintain it a bit longer? Oh, bit deep again there from Miksic. And you can really see how close the Lexus is now. Blotting out that Porsche on the back straight. This is going to be one to watch. Look at the difference in straight line speed. Absolutely insanely different. The Lexus just able to absolutely monster the Porsche on the back on that pit straight. So, final lap. Brooker just has to maintain it in front. Miksic has to try and hold on to his position. But Bellato, after 2 hours of racing, is still very much on the offensive. He wants that final podium spot, and the Porsche well off the racing line. There we go. Our leader Borovic comes across the line in 1st place. Really well done for him. We're going to cut straight back to the battle that's going on for 3rd place, though. Can Bellato do it? He's only got a few corners left to try and get the move done, and there's not much chance of doing it on the final turns. On the brakes here, really closes up. can he get a better run? He's going for that slightly tighter line. He's hoping that his overall pace in the Lexus can drag him down the hill quicker. So much more speed. Surely he's going to try and go around the outside here. Yes, on the brakes, goes to the outside. Can he get the undercut? Yeah, because Mixic goes a little bit deep, and Bellato side by side with Mixic now. Oh, there's contact! But Bellato has the inside here. Runs him a little bit wide, being really clean and respectful. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Bellato gets the move done before the final turn. Goodness gracious, he does it. He manages to take third place away from Mixic at the very last moment. There's a bit of a flash of the light from Mixic. I don't think he was overly happy, but I didn't see anything out of the ordinary there. Amazing effort from those guys. So Borovic, first place. Brooker, second place. Bellato, we're going to nip back to a replay. It looked more that Mixic had gone off the circuit and was then rejoining. So realistically, I don't think Bellato needed to give him any racing room at that point. I mean, he was on the circuit. He tries to go around the outside here, can't get it done under brakes. Swings it in. Yeah, I'd say that was more of a Mixic error as opposed to Bellato. There was a tiny touch there, but only the smallest of margins. Bit of movement under braking for Bellato there, but he was definitely in front. He had the nose closed off, I'd say, before. And so, yeah, fantastic effort. What a brilliant move. Final lap after 2 hours to take it away from Mixic. I imagine Mixic will be devastated that he lost his final podium spot. But, oh, good Lord. Right, so let's go through the grid. Obviously, a lot of them never made it to the line, but Borovic on pole. Oh, it just moved graphic. Hang on. It's just grabbing it up for me. Could you pop it across to race, Mally? Because I think that's... oh, yes, it is. Sorry, my apologies. I'm just being blind. All right, so pole position was Borovic. Second place was Brooker. Third place, Bellato. Fourth place was Mixic. Fifth was Virches after starting from the pits. Bit of a stinker from Mex down in sixth place. Then our leading AM driver was Dunster running in seventh place. And that's the first pole position for him in his class as well. So fantastic effort for him. Eighth place was Langdijk. Ninth was Miljelovic. And then his brother Ivo, even with his 22nd penalty, managed to hold on to 10th position and third position in class. So a really nice second and third for the two brothers there. They'll be really pleased with that. 11th place was Zikovic in the Jaguar, and then rounding out the grid was Shunrik in the number 12 McLaren, and finishing in 12th as well. So everyone else there, obviously, as we saw, some was retirements. But really good effort from everyone involved. 2 hours of really, really close racing from those guys. Hopefully we're going to get some guys in the post-race interviews. Yeah, going to go for a quick ad in the meantime, so stick with us, guys. So there we go. Just running through some highlights now. But this was turn one, and you can immediately saw where Doyle got second place away from Mixic, and genuinely thought that that was going to be him for the rest of the race. And obviously we saw him drop out at one point. He had a lot of damage, so we saw Doyle leave. Ah, fantastic. We've got Dunster in for an interview. So he was our leading AM driver. Welcome to the interview box. Great race from you, my friend.
Hello, hello. Yeah, thank you.
So you showed some brilliant pace out there this evening. You kept your nose clean, kept yourself out of trouble. Just fantastic race. Talk us through it. 2 hours of Kyalami. How are you feeling?
A little bit exhausted, but it was fine. In the start, I was trying to let the other guys pass me because I knew if they're faster, I don't want to fight. And it somehow ended up good for me.
Well, sometimes just staying clean and keeping out of trouble, especially over the space of 2 hours, can make a big, big difference. And obviously, I mean, the setup seemed to work for you really well. Were you using a custom setup, or was it just a in-game setup with a little bit of tweaks?
It's a custom setup that the guys made, so I'm just trying to use it. Philip and Mate.
Okay, yep. So they made the setup essentially for you, but fantastic. I mean, it's what you got to do is share the wealth, let everyone know what you're doing there. So I'm having a quick look through your. I'm being really blind. Why can I not see what I'm looking for? So you were before this race, you were 9th in the championship. So that you've had a 3rd place, but now you can put a 1st place on in class. So really, really good effort from you. It's been a difficult race this evening. You said you kept yourself out of trouble on lap 1 where there was that incident, so that was great to see. It's just been a bit of a clean and consistent race from you this evening. It has to be said. Obviously, we had you on stream a fair bit, but at no point I think there was no sort of nail biting moments of, oh God, is he going to lose a place? It was pretty consistent stuff from you. As you said, going a bit steadier and letting the faster drivers through really paid off to your advantage.
Yeah, that was the tactics for today. And last time in the interview, I said that I will practice more for Kyalami, so I had to do it.
Fantastic. And it obviously paid off, putting in those extra couple of bit of extra time obviously made a big difference for you. So great to see that you've got your pole position. Brilliant effort. We've got another couple of guys stacking up in the pre-interview box. So any last words before we have to move on to the next man?
Yeah, thank you, ISDA, for the organization of these races. It's always fun, and I hope we get a good next season. Yeah,
I almost guarantee the next season will be as good, if not better. The guys behind the scenes here, absolutely fantastic. So thank you for giving them a shout out.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Thank you. Borovec, it has been your championship this season, hasn't it, really? Let's be honest. You've dominated it the whole way through. You've been on the podium every single race.
Oh, really? Did I?
Yeah, Silverstone was 1st, Snetterton 2nd, Spa Barcelona was pole positions, Monza was 3rd, Hungaroring and Laguna were 1st place, and another 1st place this evening. So amazing effort and a masterclass in consistency. Absolutely fantastic effort. I mean, you led the entire race. Were there any moments where you worried that you might lose a position, or were you pretty confident in yourself?
There was a moment in the beginning. I think I hit the sausage. It was like 2nd lap maybe. I almost crashed into the wall. So that was it. But later it was just cruising till the end.
I think it was turn 1 where everyone was pretty bunched up, and there was a bit of a moment where everyone was sort of like heart in mouth stuff as you went through turn 1. I don't think we saw the sausage incident you were talking about, but has claimed a fair few victims this evening.
Yeah.
Some guys went into the outside wall, other guys spun and went straight onto the inside wall. So the fact that you managed to tangle with it and came out on top is an absolute bonus. Will you be sticking with the Porsche moving forwards, or are you possibly going to try some of the new DLC cars?
In the next season, I'm going to drive the old BMW.
The old BMW?
The old, yeah.
Okay.
I wanted the car that was fast on the straight. So I want to try that, and I actually don't know how to drive any other car than the Porsche
Okay.
and the Porsche Coupe. So yeah, it's gonna be a challenge, I think.
Well, I would say that I think if anyone can do it, it's definitely you can rise to that challenge. I say after dominating the season this time round, I think maybe using a slightly different car that you're not so used to might give some of the other guys a bit more of a chance. Obviously, you really know your way around the Porsche. I mean, and fair play, it's a very very difficult car to drive, and like you said, on the straights, it is unbelievably lacking when it comes to straight line speed. So going over to the BMW is going to be like night and day for you.
I think it's going to be fun. So we'll see.
I'm sure if anyone can do it, it is you. Again, congratulations on pole this evening, and congratulations on the Pro Championship as well. And I'm pretty sure when it comes to team standings, that Pirate Racing, have won that one by a landslide as well. So absolutely fantastic news. So both the team and overall, you absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So really well done.
And I wanted to say thanks to the crew and ISDA for organizing the championship. It was fun. Thanks.
Thank you ever so much. Right, so I think we've got Brooker stacking up for an interview as well. So thank you ever so much for joining us, Borovec. We will hopefully see you next season, no doubt. And yeah, we'll get Brooker in now. So thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Brooker, can you hear us?
I can, mate.
Fantastic. Really great race for you this evening. Showed some amazing pace throughout the entire race, to be fair. It really seemed like your setup compared to some of the other guys held it together much better towards the end of the race, especially in that last half an hour. Your pace was fantastic. It all came together. Talk us through it a little bit.
Yeah, I was disappointed to start with my quali because I felt I could have been a bit higher up in quali, but yeah, then I lost another place at the start. Kind of dropped back from the leaders, and I thought that was the end of my race. Really, I thought I was going to have a lonely one from then on. But towards
certainly not.
Towards the end of the started to catch up towards the end of the first stint, and then made a couple of mistakes, and pit stop wasn't great. But yeah, had a really fun battle with Mixic at the end. And yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it looked
first time I got a podium as well with ISDA.
was your first podium. Fantastic effort, mate. Sorry, I was unaware it was your first podium. So
yeah,
no, really good effort. I mean, as a battling with certainly with the big boys up at the front there. As in Mixic, who previous to this race was third in the Pro Championship. So really good effort to sort of take the battle up there to him. You were running in 7th position. That may have changed by this point. Haven't got updated championship points yet. That will get done post stream, I would presume. But an absolutely fantastic effort from you. Was it a custom setup, or was it just one of the in-game ones with a couple of tweaks?
I had massive help with my setup. I don't know if I should say this or not, but yeah, Philip actually helped with my setup. So
well, that's fair enough. I mean, it's as they were saying earlier on. Sometimes sharing the wealth is where it's at, and it's always nice to bring along other drivers within the community. Obviously, ISDA a pretty friendly place.
Yeah,
so glad to hear. But obviously you had lots of help with your setup, and so obviously Mixic, presumably being on the same team as Borovec, would have also had that help.
Yeah,
so,
I believe they got a very similar setup. Yeah, or if not the same.
So I do wonder if it was because he looked to really be struggling with braking and turn in towards the end of that race. So obviously something you did with your setup was a little bit different to his, or maybe you just managed your tyres slightly better.
I think
sure.
maybe it might have been tyre management towards the beginning of our stints, because he mentioned he had graining, bad, severe graining, which he'd never had before, and it was costing him time. So possibly it was too hard at the beginning on the tyres, and maybe that's why they got away from me. I don't know.
Possibly.
I am normally slow at the start of the race for the first 2 or 3 laps. So.
And then it just takes you a while to get into it and get into the groove.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, it definitely worked out for you this evening. Put yourself right up on the podium. So really, really good effort. Really good to see.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm buzzing.
Wicked. I think we've got one last person in the ready for interview box. So
Cool.
Any last words before we move on?
No, just thank you to you guys that commentate, do the stewarding behind the scenes and race organising. Yeah, thank you to Yankers and Mali and all you guys. It's so much fun to be a part of. Can't wait till next season.
Not long to wait.
No.
Really not long. So thank you ever so much, and obviously a big for shouting out the guys behind the scenes as well. Massively appreciated.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers. See ya.
Can you hear us? Hello? I can't hear anything at the moment. Mali, can you hear him? For anyone watching at home, this is our car number 68, the Jaguar, the driver. But sadly unable to hear him at the moment. Doesn't appear that he's talking. So whether he's done something on his end, I'm not sure, but it's nothing on our end. So okie dokie. Right. Well, thank you guys ever so much for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating for this entire season. This is the winter sprint season over, and the spring season is starting very soon. As I said before, evaluation race on the 7th of April and the first round on the 14th. So do come and join us and jump on board and jump in the Discord. All the invitations and links you should need should all be in the description of this video. So come and join us. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating for this season. And obviously, again, massive shout out to all the guys behind the scenes, race control, everyone doing all the organizational stuff. All I do is show up and talk. So I get the easy job compared to those guys. Mali, have you got any words? He's just getting his mic up and running.
Yep, I think it now works. Hello to everyone from the Combox here. Just to thank you all for tuning in for the season. Thanks to all the drivers that partook. This was honestly one of the best seasons we ever had. Very, very clean racing, but still we had these great battles like we saw just on the last lap. So I mean, let's push forward like this. You guys rock, and recommend us to all your friends. Hope to see a lot of you join us. And it's only 2 weeks of sleeping calmly, and then once again the roar of the engines will be here on Thursdays.
Fantastic. So opening round is the 14th at Paul Ricard, so immediately jumping into the blue hell.
Indeed.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much for joining us this evening, and we will call that a night. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim, and thanks to all of you who are watching. Good night.
Cheers, Mali. Thank you very much.